Good evening. I'm calling to order the May 6th Board of Supervisors meeting. As you know, I am not Matt Ross. He is joining us via teleconference. He is ill at this time, so I will be handling the meeting duties, and we will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So now I'll begin the roll call. Supervisor Ross?
Here.
Okay, excellent. Supervisor Reese?
Here.
Supervisor Coyle?
Present.
Supervisor Grenier?
Also present.
And Supervisor Lewis, we're all present. I'll begin with the community announcements. And as a reminder, during this portion of the agenda, residents and youth organizations may call in to make a special announcement or contact the township at admin@lmt.org to request a special announcement be added to the event. So I'm going to start with one that's not on the actual agenda, but will be on for the next one as well. If you don't have plans for May 31st, you definitely are going to want to make them now because it is the 12th annual Walk to Remember, taking steps to end domestic violence. So each year, Amy's Kisses hosts our annual Walk to Remember at Tyler State Park, bringing together supporters to honor the lives of Amy, Molly, and Gregory and supporting their mission. And again, it's at Tyler State Park. The address you'd use is 10 Stable Mill Trail, Richboro, Pennsylvania. And it starts at 8:15 a.m. And here's the exciting time. There's a calisthenics part, so you get a little stretching in before the walk, led by certified exercise people. And then at 9:15, there's a start of a walk. It's like about 3.5-mile walk. It's a good time. I'm looking at some people that would probably enjoy a good walk. And the cause is a good one. Amy's Kisses is there to help address the issues of domestic violence and to help develop good relationships with folks. The price per walker is only $35, and for that, you get a T-shirt, so you're going to want the T-shirt, and free refreshments. As somebody who's walked it, I don't know how many years, I'm going to tell you now, the refreshments and food after make it worth the price of admission. So again, May 31st, you know me, I don't oversell any of the things that we talk about in announcements, so that I tell you this is the one event. If you're going to go do one charity walk this year, make sure it's the Amy's Kisses one. Now, other announcements I want you to pay attention to. Lower Makefield Township's EAC is sponsoring a free Birdtown PA event, Mother Birds and Their Babies, on Saturday, May 9th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. in the main meeting room of the Township building. Juanita Hummel, a master naturalist at Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve and past president of Washington Crossing Audubon Society, will be giving the presentation. The AC has been really hitting it out of the park. I know they did a wonderful fast fashion presentation, which, while I couldn't do in person, was available online for people that was streaming, so you could watch it there. You're definitely going to want to check this out. The folks at Bowman's Hill do some tremendous work for the community, and you're going to want to learn some more about that. And the AC even has another exciting event. This is a Styrofoam and recycling event on Saturday, May 23rd from 10 a.m. to noon in the parking lot of the Township building. So along with clean white Styrofoam, you know you have a lot of it. It's just sitting around there. It's in your garage. It's old things you used to like store a case of beer with ice. You're not using it anymore. It's half broken. You don't want to throw it away. Recycle that, right? They'll be collecting wine corks. And as I look out, I know a lot of you have truckloads of wine corks. You're probably storing them. What a great chance to recycle them. Amber and white plastic pill containers and batteries. And for more information, you can visit the Township calendar at lmt.org. That brings me one additional item I want to bring to you. If at any time you have prescriptions or medications or controlled substances, you know we have a drop box in the police department building downstairs. So if you've got medicine that you might have had, let's say for a pain-related thing or something you didn't want to fall in the wrong hands or you didn't want to just throw it away, we have a drop box there as well. So I've way over-announced, and we'll get on to agenda item 5.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Lewis, I have breaking news. May I make an announcement?
Just this time.
I have just learned that the talented young dancers of Downstage Center Dance will be performing before the Trenton Thunder game on June 6th. So get your tickets to see some amazing and talented community youngsters dancing out on the field before the Trenton Thunder game. Thank you very much.
I have one as well. The Dance Arts Yardley crew will be having their annual recital, I believe, on May 16th, all day. There's a couple of shows at the Trenton War Memorial, so you can find those online. And I also, from another, I only wear a tie not for Board of Supervisors meetings. I just came from the Penwood Middle School Spring Concert. Very talented young musicians. I only stayed for the first part because that's when my daughter was playing. But it is ongoing tonight, so if you get bored here and want to go listen to some good live music, it's free to everyone to show up. They're really talented young kids.
Okay, with that, now I'll recognize you for that announcement. But if you're like, hey, I want to leave now, what the heck? So we'll move on to agenda item 5, which is an update of the stormwater utility fee implementation. And I'm going to recognize our township manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board. This is the first meeting of the Board of Supervisors since individuals would have received bills for stormwater utility purposes. I just thought in the event that there are questions for those in attendance that we would just sort of go over a few items, just providing some background information, some information regarding sort of the implementation timeline, and then just speak a little bit about billing and credit and appeals. So for purposes of background, the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, which is known as the MS4 program, is a federally mandated program under the Clean Water Act and is administered by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Lower Makefield Township is designated as a small MS4 community and therefore is required to obtain a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System Phase 2 MS4 permit, again, which is administered through the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Lower Makefield Township's MPDS permit, which again is the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit, was issued by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. And Condition 6 of that MPDS permit requires that the township achieve pollutant loading reductions for sediment in the amount of 10% or 154,000 pounds per year by February 28th of 2027. The township's PADEP required and approved pollution reduction plan identifies approximately $4 million of capital construction projects required to be implemented over the 5-year permit cycle in order to meet the required sediment reduction requirements that, again, are a requirement, which are a regulatory requirement under the Clean Water Act. In addition to the regulatory permit compliance, the township's stormwater management system consists of an extensive overland and subsurface collection and conveyance system, which is aging and requires ongoing repair and maintenance. The fee is levied under authorization that's provided for within the Pennsylvania Second-Class Township Code, and so that was the basis for the imposition of the fee and some of the background associated with why the fee was necessary. From an implementation timeline standpoint, I just wanted to sort of run through some dates here. On May 21st of 2025, I made a public presentation at the Board of Supervisors meeting discussing stormwater utility fee implementation. July 16th of 2025, the Board of Supervisors accepted a proposal from HRG for stormwater utility fee implementation. At the Board of Supervisors meeting, which is a public meeting, on October 15th, 2025, HRG, the selected consultant and township engineer, made a public presentation. On November 5th, 2025, HRG makes a public presentation at the Board of Supervisors meeting. On November 19th, 2025, HRG makes a public presentation at the Board of Supervisors meeting. On December 17th, HRG makes a public presentation at the Board of Supervisors meeting. On December 17th, 2025, after required public notice, the Board of Supervisors adopts an ordinance levying a stormwater utility fee with an effective date of January 1st of 2025. In 2026, and at the first regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors, January 21st, the Board of Supervisors adopts a stormwater management program credit and appeals manual. February 28th, there's additional conversation. The Board of Supervisors accepts a proposal from Cassell for billing and payment collection services relating to the township's stormwater utility fee. On or around April 14th, 2026, initial bills are mailed to ratepayers. In addition to the above public discussions, which occurred at public meetings, multiple posts were made via the township's website and social media channels. Getting into billing, initial bills were mailed, as I mentioned, on or around April 14th, 2026. The due date for the initial quarterly installment or full payment to receive a 3% discount is May 18th, 2026. If choosing to pay quarterly, subsequent quarterly bills for service rendered in 2026 will be issued in July of 2026, October of 2026, and January of 2027. We've heard some questions about property owner data, particularly related to name and address. That information came from the Bucks County Recorder of Deeds. Billing is done in accordance with the adopted tiered rate schedule that, again, was adopted by the board in December of 2025. The basis for billing is impervious surface on the individual parcels. The impervious surface data was collected using high-definition aerial imagery, calculated using artificial intelligence, and then refined by the Township Engineer's Office. We're getting a number of questions about credits and appeals, so just wanted to touch on those a little bit. There are available credit options for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 properties. Those are outlined in a Stormwater Management Program Credit and Appeals Manual, which is available on the Township website and also available at the Township office. And then just one clarifying item relative to appeals. The basis of an appeal is only limited to appealing the amount of impervious surface that's attributable to an individual parcel. So the appeal process is not an exemption process. It's not a means to object to the fee. It is only related to appealing the amount of impervious surface that's attributable to the individual parcel. So just wanted to recognizing there's ongoing public conversation about this issue, just wanted to provide some background on that, just to provide some framework understanding, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board or the public may have regarding the issue.
Okay.
Sure.
So in terms, just the interface, I think all of us got our bills, hard copy bills. I think there was a little bit of confusion because it said, Lower Makefield Township, but there was a P.O. box in a different town because we're using the outside bill collecting service, so there's a little bit of concern there.
Sure.
In addition to that, when I read the bill, it said, please see our website for an FAQ. It was a little unclear if it was the billing company's website or ours.
Okay.
I know there was not a barcode, the scan.
QR code.
QR code, thank you. I'm old. There was a QR code. I'm not sure everyone would jump to that, so we should look at that as well. And then when I actually did, because I do like to pay things online, went to the website, it wasn't the best interface. So if I would have thrown out that bill, I wouldn't have been able to access my payment online. I wouldn't have been able to look it up because I had to have the account number, the bill number there with me.
Sure.
So it would be if we could somehow allow people that, because I'm sure at some point next year or whenever people pay, they're not always going to have that piece of paper. And then there is an icon that says view your bill on the website, but when you click on it, nothing actually loads. So there's just I was able to, and then of course, if you want to pay it gives you a quarterly number, and then if you wanted to pay for the year, so you get for the 3% discount or whatever it is, it doesn't give you an option to do that. That's obvious. You actually have to manually type in how much you want to pay in the space that they populate.
Sure.
Put that in. So there's just some sort of quirks in their interface that I hope they can fix.
Yeah, and we're in discussions with them about all of those items. I think that those items are collectively recognized, and again, we're working on solutions for all of those.
Yeah, 'cause I think.
I had questions from people, people who have impervious surface that have done trenches and have done something to mitigate. That would not necessarily show up on
No, that would require the submission of a credit application.
That's what I've been telling people.
And
Thank
so
you.
they
Right.
should be referred to the township office. We would be able to help them through that process. To the
Thank you.
extent that we have drawings and so forth, then we would obviously access those. If not, then again, it would ultimately be on the ratepayers. It would be the ratepayers' responsibility to provide that information to get the credit.
Thank you.
All right, before we move on to agenda item 6, public comment, if it's okay with the solicitor, can we remove an item from the consent agenda and the manager's report and make those tabled? That way, okay. And the reason I ask for that is this way, if you're in the audience and you want to talk to those items, they're going to be tabled or removed. The first one is agenda item 8G. This one authorizes the final release of the financial security assessment with phases 4 and 5 of Regency at Yardley South. We're tabling that for today for a couple of reasons. One, hopefully we want to make sure that everything is okay in the stormwater checks, and also two, we've had issues with the builder in that case revolving mold that we had worked through and we had to invest a lot of time with. So we want to make sure we get everything done correctly on that one and also see if we can work through options there. The second one is the manager's report. That's 10D. Consider acceptance of the proposal for consulting advisory services relating to the RFPs for a management company and lessees for the Makefield Highlands Golf Club. We're getting some revised proposals on that. So that was, if anybody would like to make a motion to table, I would be happy to entertain that.
I move that we table consent agenda item 8G and the manager's report item 10D.
Second?
Is there any discussion? If not, hearing any. I guess I should, is there any public comment on this tabling matter or no? Not hearing any. I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. And the way it works is you get recognized for initial 3 minutes. You need to just state your name and whether you live in Lower Makefield Township. Now we have to record that in there. My suggestion for folks is, as you line up, certainly state your case. If something is someone else has said, you get extra credit points in my mind if you just say, hey, what that person said I agree with, and move on to your next suggestion. With that, I'll recognize the first member for public comment.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Hasib Abdur-Rahman. I'm the Public Relations Officer for Zubaydah Foundation, which is located right across from Charles Bain Middle School. So good evening to each and every one of you. It's good to see you, Ms. Judy Reese. We are former colleagues going back to our days teaching at Martin Luther King Middle School / Junior 1. She taught English, I taught social studies. Wonderful moments, Good to see you. So I wanted to acknowledge and give kudos as I come here to the Lower Makefield Township Police Department. And the reason is, and I'm going to say it again and again and again, far too often our police, not only here in Lower Makefield Township, but across the country, across the nation, in my humble opinion, gets little or no respect at all. Nothing but negative print and newsprint, radio, etc., etc. This department here, the Lower Makefield Township Police Department, under the direction and guidance of Police Chief Joseph D. Kelly III. I'm honored to work with this department. They have been an example, a positive example to our membership, to our community on the campus of Zubaydah Foundation. You see, we employ the Lower Makefield Township police officers to come out on our religious services on Fridays. Okay, they're there from 11:30, one officer, 11:30 to 3:30. Sometimes the chief sends out an additional officer to help with the flow and the traffic of the, going into, because we have 2 religious services on Fridays. So, and it's handled very organized. The men and women are very professional, and we want to appreciate, we show our appreciation for them, and I like to come here always and give acknowledgement, like I said, to the chief of police who I mentioned. And we have a Captain Tim Reeves, who I work very closely with. Any problems that I might see or he might encounter, he calls me and vice versa. So thank you so much, Tim. And also Lieutenant Larry Hillman. I've got to know over this past year, as you know, he lost his mother, unfortunate, and so good people, And then we have the police department would not be, in my opinion, again, as successful without a successful administration. So therefore, there's Jennifer Walker, and she's the assistant to the chief of police. We have Carol Peters, who is the assistant to Jennifer. And so we work with them. They handle things that they need to handle. And so again, I'm just so honored to continue this partnership that we have. And also, the Zubaydah Foundation, its administration, is grateful to each and every one of you. Okay, we've had problems over the years with zoning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we've always were able to be successful, and just want everybody to know that we appreciate that. And I wanted to say, too, we have a community event coming up on May the 16th. This community event is to celebrate one of the 2 main holidays that is coming up on our calendar. The first one is It'll Fit, which is the following of the Ramadan 30-day celebration, and the second one, which is coming up on the 15th, and that's going to be the celebration of Idul Adha. 2 main holidays, and the Adha is the Feast of Sacrifice. You can read up on it history-wise, and also we just want everybody to know the entire community is invited. This is a free event. We're going to have pony rides. Everything is free. Come out, have a good time. Get to know us as we want to get to know you. Far too often, anybody, you read about the Muslims or the Muslim community. Well, we have a Muslim community right here in Lower Makefield Township community. So, if you want to come on out, please come on out. And also, I say to you, supervisors, sometime in the next couple of months, we just have a brand new second building. And so we're going to have a press conference, and we're hopeful, we're going to invite you, and we're hopeful that you'll come out, but that we're going to give you an invitation on that. One question I wanted to ask in closure: is there a human relations committee here? And if so, I'm interested, number one, how might I go about if there is an opening? Or if not, I'd like to, get involved with that human relations committee if it is possible to do so.
Yeah. Are you the liaison this year?
I am, in fact, the liaison to our Human Relations Commission. We do have one. They're active. They're working all the time. I think that certainly we could keep you and the organization in mind should there be a vacancy.
All you really need to do is send an email, if you can hear me, sorry. You can send an email to Mr. Kratzer here, admin@lmt.org.
Okay.
And normally what we ask for is just sort of an email saying you're interested,
Okay.
and some type of resume is usually helpful. And then
Okay.
if there is an opening, then the chair will schedule you for an interview in front of the board. You can sit right here. We'll ask you a few questions, and then you get appointed, and then you're off to the races.
Okay.
At the same time, you can also attend the meetings. They're all public.
Okay.
And just understand how they operate and
Okay.
what they're talking about. And you don't have to be on the committee to attend or ask them questions.
Okay.
It's very open.
So who might I speak to get that information?
That-
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you
you.
very much. I'm going to leave my card.
perfect.
Thank you.
It was really good to see you, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Your email's on here? Do you have an email? Yeah, you do, okay.
Okay.
I'll send you an email tomorrow and we can connect, okay? All right, thank you.
Evening.
Hi.
Fred Childs, Lower Makefield resident. I did not hear a call for public comment on Agenda Item 5, the stormwater update.
You're free to comment on it now, so there's not a problem with that. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you, John.
And I know you're a township
Vice Chair.
resident. Yeah.
So not disputing at all the stormwater utility ordinance. Just have a couple concerns, issues. Over the decades, a number of properties have installed private swimming pools. The township at that time, as I believe, did not include the surface water as impervious. So you have a conflict between what was approved by the township as the percentage and impervious area. And I think that needs to be looked at again, reconsidered, whether we have a conflict there and whether those properties need to be adjusted or grandfathered in with the percentage that was approved by the township in the past. As far as the fee credit system, there's homeowners who have 5,000 or more impervious area, square foot impervious area, tier 2 properties were denied a number of the credits in the system. For example, adding trees or shrubs or the downspout disconnection. And although the 5,000 square foot properties have presumably more runoff potential, we're denied the ability to mitigate some of that with those credits and receive some kind of de minimis benefit from that. So that needs to be considered. I think this disadvantages many of us who are retired on fixed incomes, as well as newer families with young children who are moving into larger properties, larger homes, and have to have their own concerns with childcare, schooling, et cetera. So they're not able to utilize those credits. A 3-tier system was a part of one of the original proposals, which had a mid-tier 5,000 to 6,500 square foot. So that was not included at the end in the ordinance. If the concern is that there's potential loss of some of the revenue because those properties would apply for the 20% credit, I think that including the third tier of 5,000 to 6,500 or just limiting credits to single-family homes as opposed to commercial properties, which have probably much larger impervious area and potential runoff, would be a benefit. And since 2 members of the board were not part of the deliberations for that ordinance, I think it's time to maybe take another look at both of those issues that I've raised. And I appreciate your consideration there. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Nuzzolo. I live at 628 Stony Hill Road. I've been a resident of the township for about 50 years. I'm here to talk about trees. My property consists of two parcels. Parcel A is about 1.6 acres, and it's where our house and most of the trees that we have on the property exist. That's designated Tier 2. And then we have a smaller parcel, about 0.17 acres, and that's designated Tier 1. Now, that second parcel came to us through the township, thankfully, because when they were putting the drainage basin in, it was determined that a portion of our driveway and our septic system would have been destroyed. So they did, in fact, deed us that smaller parcel. Now, on that small parcel, I pay $5 a year in township tax. That particular parcel has a fee of $102. The larger parcel has a fee of about $500. So total is $605. We went through the process of appealing through the credit issue that, or the credit process that exists. Since we had so many trees on the property, we thought, all right, well, the EPA specifically designates and substantiates the fact that trees represent a significant asset in terms of managing storm water runoff. And a mature oak tree, for example, absorbs about 40,000 gallons of water per year. So we filed we completed the paperwork, went to the township office, met with the individual there, and she said, sorry, this is denied. We do not allow or credit for trees on Tier 2 designated property. So I said, well, why? A tree is a tree. It does what it does wherever it is. Well, we don't do that. I said, well, where did that decision come from? They said the supervisors made that decision. So I ask you the question, why are trees not allowed for credit on Tier 2 designated property? Is there a specific rationale behind that? Is there a reason for that?
Did you want me to, or?
I mean, as the gentleman notes, I mean, at this point, the credit policy that was adopted does not provide that credit option. You would have the ability, obviously, to reconsider that, moving forward if that was the discretion of, or the decision of the Board of Supervisors.
Yeah. It's certainly it's something it's possible to consider. The challenge then becomes ensuring that the trees are well taken care of.
Oh, well, let me explain what if I do go through the process, let me explain what I have to do. I have to take a photograph of the trees in question from the bottom up through the canopy with close-ups of the bark and the leaves. So I'm thinking that if I take about 350 to 450 digital photographs and I have to submit those to the township, that somebody's going to actually sit and look at that? I mean, that's an incredibly cumbersome process, but if there's another way to either inspect or come by and look at the trees that we have and the various species, that would be appreciated. Granted, it's a 10% credit toward the fee, but nevertheless, it's something that we would appreciate your reconsidering. And I have one final question on the rain barrel thing. I would submit to you that we don't have any water runoff. We sit 610 feet off Stony Hill Road, so nothing runs down our crushed stone driveway, even though I know that that's impervious surface. And the downspouts are all designed to go into the various gardens that we have, and we have quite a few of them on the property. Now, if I disconnect these downspouts and place rain barrels under them, I get a $100 rebate, right?
You would be eligible for, I believe it's written, yeah, you would get one $100 rebate, yes.
Now, are those barrels specified as to what they have to be?
There is some specifications around what they would have to be, yes.
Once they're filled, or they get water in them, and I take that water and dump it into the same gardens that it goes to right now, that I can do that?
To empty the rain barrel?
Yeah.
Yes, presumably you could do that, yes.
All right. So so I will collect the water in a rain barrel, get a $100 rebate, but I don't get a $100 rebate if I have my rain gutters specifically designed to be going into those same gardens.
That is correct, based on how the credit policy is currently written. Adrian, I don't know if you have any comment on that, or I don't want to put, you're probably going to have to come up if you're.
Adrian, if you can come up to the, and press the button that's where it says push, that way we can.
So relative to the rain barrel credit, the reason why a lot of communities choose to consider that credit is that the rain barrels collect the water during the time of the storm, and then it allows the property owners to release it onto the ground surface at a time when it's dry and it can be more easily infiltrated. So that's the difference. It's just the timing of when the runoff would occur into the garden can be controlled through the rain barrel.
We should give you a little introduction because I don't know if everyone here knows you. Adrian works for HRG, which is our township engineer. They have helped, 60 to 80 different municipalities just in Pennsylvania implement these stormwater programs. And a lot of the credit manual comes from that experience. So a lot of this, I'm not trying to put this on your shoulders, but a lot of it comes from their experience across all those municipalities and what's worked for most places. Obviously, there's always unique situations where you may be a great environmental steward relative to your normal homeowners, but
I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious or sarcastic here, but I don't know how, so I'm thinking, okay, a rain barrel underneath the downspout collects the water, and then I dump the water in the exact same spot that it's currently going, and if I go through the trouble of doing that, I'll get a $100 rebate off the bill, and it's a one-time deal, I recognize that, but and then I hear you're saying that there is a specification in terms of the type of rain barrel. It's not just any old.
Yeah, I believe there are specs. I don't have it in front of me, sir, to look at, but there was some discussion about that issue in terms of, certain capacity, those kinds of things that would qualify for the rebate.
Well, I thank you for your time. I would ask you to reconsider the issue of
Is there anything?
crediting trees on property, period, wherever they grow. I think that's an essential thing for all of us to keep in mind. You guys plant a lot of trees, and you do it for a reason, I presume. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Karen Gates, 955 Big Oak Road. You used a term of environmental stewards, and I think that's probably a relevant term to my objection to how this fee has been levied in the inequity from some homeowners to others. I have a 7-acre farm that I put in conservation easement, so we can't have more buildings on it. The entire farm is a bowl. The front field down by Big Oak Road is documented wetlands and collects 99% of all the rainwater that comes off of my property, and then over the next week it leaches. But I'll have 2 foot of water in a lake for that period of time until it leaches. It does not go to the stormwater sewer system. I also take on much of the water from the property next door, that we even put a pipe under the driveway so they wouldn't have a lake, so it goes into my front field. So I am managing and have worked very hard to manage stormwater for 45 years. And the impact of my property is about Zippo on our stormwater system. And I don't think that there's any way that I've read through, I appealed, my riding ring was considered impervious surface. It's 80 by 200. That's a huge amount of surface, and we drag it twice a week to make sure it's not impervious. But the township engineer felt that it's still, I mean, if it was impervious, it wouldn't be a proper riding ring because it would be hard as a rock for the horses. So we worked to make sure it does absorb, but they denied that as an appeal. And all of the mechanisms to give me any kind of credit for the fact that my stormwater, we've worked very hard to manage, and that we're creating much less of an impact than all the people that built. I mean, we were the 5th driveway from Oxford Valley Road when I moved there, and 10 million people have moved in and put roofs on their houses. So I would appeal to the township management that there should be some way to evaluate properties that have very little impact on the storm sewer other than what's written in the manual, because the manual doesn't really account for the topography, which is really relevant. I mean, you can have a huge property that's running straight downhill and into the storm sewers, or you can have a property that has very little impact because it is, as mine is, it's a bowl. So I would hope that there could be some amending of how these ways to mitigate your bill could be a little more relevant to the types of properties that they are addressing. Even if you don't rate a specific criteria, if someone could review and look at everything about your property and how it impacts the storm sewer system, if there could be some way to review that could give us some relief, because my bill is over $1,000 for the year. And I have, as I said, almost no impact on the stormwater. Thank you.
I don't know if you want Adrienne to, she had something she wanted to share. I don't know
if you'd like to come up and share, yeah.
It may just be beneficial for you to just stay there, yes.
One thing that I think it's important for the supervisors to understand is, and just recognize, is that what you're required.
Oh, you need to be closer to the microphone.
What you're required to do in order to be managing stormwater and meeting your MS4 permit goes well above just managing the stormwater that's coming off of properties. When DEP, as part of your MS4 permit, requires you to reduce pollutants in the township, and Dave mentioned, I think you said it was $4 million worth of projects that need to be done, DEP calculates those pollutants based upon impervious area in the township. So DEP isn't necessarily looking at stormwater leaving properties when they're creating that requirement for you. They're just looking at impervious area in general. So there are going to be property owners where their stormwater, even though it might not be leaving the property, it's important to just recognize that DEP is still putting mandates on you and cost on you that you need to find a way to fund and address.
Hi, my name is Mark Sanford. I stood up in December the 17th, and first I'd like to make sure we correct the record. I'm missing from the minutes on December 17th.
Yeah, that has been corrected, yes. Yep.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
been corrected. I spoke to Dave today, trying to look for the same thing as many of the larger property owners are looking for some relief relative to discounts, and there are none for me, except unless I'm willing to tear down some trees. I've got all mature red oaks, white oaks, maples, beech, and there's no consideration. As Karen, I'm her neighbor, and I can see on her place, she does not put stormwater out onto the street, nor do I. Mine's all into the woods. And yet I'm being penalized for maintaining, what we all say we want as a community here. for me preserving, trees and land, I'm being penalized. My fee is going to be $300. My sister-in-law, who lives right down the road here, has 10 acres next to the synagogue, and she's being penalized over $600 a year. I mean, this is insulting. I have to say it's very insulting. When I spoke in December, you guys said that you were going to go back and look at other considerations for discounts, and I didn't see anything change. Is there going to be anything? I asked the board.
The board always has the opportunity to review policy at any time on any issue. So as we go through this process, if we find that there are things that we think should be tweaked, the chair, I'm just sitting in today, I'm the vice chair, can set the agenda and place something on there for us to consider at that time. Individual board members are always free to bring something up as well. I would say that, we are always open on any policy and at any time to make things better for the community. So, whether I can't make an offer that will be taking up your specific request at any time, that's not.
When I was here in December, I had asked all of you, since you didn't have considerations for my type of property and a lot of others apparently that are larger parcels, wooded, that you hold off on deciding this, and you went ahead and voted. But yet you still haven't done anything to try to come up with solutions for people like myself, my sister-in-law, my nephew, people that are good stewards of this community, preserving large parcels of land, as Karen is too. Would we rather see Karen develop that land? I mean, this is silly. This is really silly. You're trying to buy, open land. These are open lands, and we're trying to preserve them, and yet you're kicking us in the tail. And yet I see with Regency, it sounds like they may have some sort of deal coming because they seem very thankful that you guys worked with them. For the Toll Brothers development?
That's really two things in that particular case. Their development's not complete, and there is an ongoing stormwater issue related to what has been built.
Okay.
So that's where we're working primarily on, because quite frankly, we don't want to have to deal with this. We don't want to have to deal with flooding issues again, right? And we're going to make sure everywhere we can, we're going to fix that. And the challenge with that is the MS4 requirements from the state are necessary and required, but also as a community, we have to make sure that our residents don't get flooded. And so we have to take action on that. I guess it was.
I do understand that.
Yeah.
You guys continue, like you just approved a sidewalk north of Yardley. That's more impervious surface.
Actually, and allow me to address that.
Sure.
That particular sidewalk that we got grants for from the state is, yes, additional pedestrian access to the borough of Yardley, but its primary function is for us to add stormwater management along Taylorsville Road. And so board members here got roughed up by doing that, but our primary driver from that is, I guess, it's almost 3 years now? July of 23. We had tremendous flooding. People from Upper Makefield passed away, and the Maplevale neighborhood was in rough shape.
That was a rare situation. Once in 200 years.
Go ahead.
1996.
I don't want. I recognize Supervisor Grenier, if you will. Yeah.
So that particular event was a rare event where 5 people died in Upper Makefield and the entire neighborhood in Maplevale was flooded 3 to 4 feet. 2 people almost lost their homes. Many people lost tens of thousands of dollars worth of their property, right? That was a major event. Since I've lived here in 2011, that's happened 4 times. Then I'm not done. I'm not done.
Yeah.
Okay? Just in 15 years, that neighborhood has been flooded 4 times, where people have lost all kinds of different properties. And people are scared out of their wits. I don't think they're here tonight, but I could get, if you want to come up and talk, I'll let you. But I know for a fact, because I was the first one in the neighborhood when that happened almost 3 years ago, and saw their faces. I was going into some people's houses looking for them because they were on vacation. We didn't know if they were in the house, if they were drowned or not. So saying anything negative about that I'll light you up on that one, okay? And I'm not done. Okay, so the reason we are putting in that sidewalk is not to create more impervious surface. The reason we're putting that in, sure, it's a nice walk. That's fun. People really like the convenience of walking near the borough. There's all kinds of positive things about that. The main reason we're doing it is when you look at what a sidewalk is, it's an 8 to 9 inch tall border that prevents flooding from Taylorsville to go into the homes at Maple Vale and the surrounding community. So one, it's a barrier for protection because Taylorsville Road, which is a state road, which we have no control over, Dolington Road, which is a state road, which we have no control over, were both built by PennDOT with no stormwater management years ago, and they refuse to go back and fix it. They absolutely refuse. So our neighborhoods and our people are stuck dealing with the runoff from those two major roads. Okay, not done yet. So when you put in a sidewalk, you have to put in stormwater management because it's a new structure. So what that allows us to do, one, it allows us to block water during a big storm event from Taylorsville and parts of Dolington, because if you notice how they run into each other, right? That redirects water. We can redirect that water to stormwater inlet systems versus the neighborhood, such that we can direct it to basins and other areas to protect our neighbors. That's the number one goal of that sidewalk. So whenever we get pushback on that sidewalk, because for some reason some people don't like it, the number one reason we're putting that in is for protection, because so many people, you know, we mentioned the pools that were built and weren't considered impervious area, right? Pools, I work in the civil engineering space, right? Pools have a curve number of 100. That means they are the most impervious areas around. And yet people got, you know, they were allowed to build those a long time ago without being considered impervious. That is, from an engineering perspective, not very smart to manage stormwater. So that's why we have updated our stormwater rules to include pools as impervious area, because it's like putting in a pond or putting in concrete. Water does not infiltrate through a pool because there's water there and there's concrete there. So that's why we put in that sidewalk. A lot of people are here because they have big properties with a lot of impervious area. We have, the way it was set up initially with the 2 tiers is because we were trying to, working with our engineer, we were trying to bring as many people into the fold as possible to keep the price down across the board. Now, there are unique situations that we do have an appeal process, we do have a credit process, and we're continuously looking at it, and that's why the engineer's here, so that they can give us more ideas about other ways to do things, okay? But when I hear people come up here and say, oh, again, I work in the civil engineering space, I study this stuff. When people say I deal with all my water on my property and my driveway doesn't run into the road and no stormwater doesn't get into the public system, that's just wrong. You can look at topography, and some of these properties will drop 25 feet from front to back, and all the water's flowing down. It may run over a lawn, but lawns are not stormwater management basins.
Or woods?
Again, woods, water can run through woods, right? That's helpful. But if you still have a 500-foot long driveway, a 1,000-foot long driveway, and a huge house, and a pool, and patios, and all kinds of other impervious area, that is not capable of dealing with all that impervious area. You have to address that. So that's why when you see people go to the zoning hearing board and they have all these impervious area overages where they need variances, that's why our zoning hearing board is always saying you need to put in X, Y, Z for mitigation, because just planting a tree doesn't take care of everything.
You guys put planting trees on your credit, not me. That is part of what you set up, number one. Number two, yes, you are the expert, because I see that your dossier is your history, your life is about this type of stuff, stormwater management. So respect that you've done that. I want people to know we're also going to be paying for this not only for ourselves, but we're going to be paying for it through the school district. We're also going to be paying for it through the township, as I understood from the December 17th meeting. that they're going to be charged stormwater management, which they don't make money, we make money and pay them. So that is true or not? That statement?
As of right now, yes, because if you understand, the largest landowners have the most impervious area most of the time, and oftentimes they're not doing anything about treating it.
And I've noted that in Middletown, they just did a flat $60 fee for everybody.
Right, which is inequitable, right? It's like a flat tax where the people, the have-nots are paying for the haves. They're subsidizing the folks that are having the greater impact when you don't.
Why don't we include impervious surface ratio? That should be a main factor in how you discount people, because mine is less than 8%. Can any of you say that your properties are less than 8% in impervious surface ratio? I would state that you probably put more of a burden on this community than I do.
So the way the state regulates pollutants is through, actually the EPA does, is through a term called TMDLs, total maximum daily loads. That is a total volume. It's not a percentage of your property. It's not a percentage of the overall. It's your total load on the system. So when you have more impervious area, that results in a larger total maximum daily load of pollutant that flows off your property.
If Karen is containing all of her water on her system and property, how's that burdening any of yours? Any of the stormwaters, I mean? The storm system?
Have you, I'd have to ask the engineer.
I live
if
next
they've
to her.
I've heard you say it.
Yeah.
We would have to get proof. I don't know that there's been any, I haven't heard any of this before. That's what I'm
Who do we need
saying.
to talk to get an engineer out to look at this stuff, I guess is what you're saying next, right? I mean, I talked to David today, and he was very cordial about what my concerns were, and he was recognizing as well that there really isn't any opportunity for me to get a discount. Correct? Except for doing.
You have a structural BMP credit that you have the ability to
Yeah,
take.
if I cut down trees and put in a swale or something.
You don't need to cut down trees to put in a swale.
How do I put a swale in a fully wooded lot?
There's plenty, you can
As
do-
it is, I direct them into my woods, like my gutters go into my woods. So I can't disconnect gutters and do better.
I'm sure you have plenty of ideas on how to do rain gardens and everything else that all kinds of residential properties do, big and small.
So who do I need to talk to look at how I can do something different?
Do you include a pre-meeting prior to? We can't hear you.
Your mic's not working.
Yeah, there is a pre-application process, so there is a pre-application request for a meeting that is on the website.
Okay. So there's, there's a variety of structural credits that are allowed, and you could start to explore those. And when you have some ideas, you could schedule the pre-application meeting for the credit, and that would provide the opportunity then for collaborative discussion based upon what you're thinking, and then some other ideas and brainstorming might come out of that.
So Mark, one of the examples is the stormwater partnership credit. That's an undefined credit that's established in the credit manual. So we can potentially sit down and talk about opportunities for partnership, which reduce our obligations, or the program's obligations to meet the regulatory requirements that I sort of outlined in the beginning of the meeting. So we're happy to sit down and have that conversation. Again, whether they're acceptable to you remains to be seen, right? We need to have a conversation on what that may look like. But there is a mechanism, and that mechanism is not as constrained as some of the other credit opportunities that exist. And presumably, a Tier 2 property, a larger property, spatially should have additional area in order to potentially partner to be able to benefit you and benefit the community as a whole as it relates to meeting our requirements. So we're happy to do that. You and I didn't talk about that you didn't raise that issue, and I didn't think to raise that issue when we were talking today. So I'm happy if you want to follow up with me, we can start that process.
I would. So
And the same for Karen as well. If there's, again, given that you have larger parcels, if there's something that we can do, again, to ultimately offset our requirements, we're happy to have those conversations. So,
okay. What do I need to do to start that?
just would you suggest that he has some basis for, like, or
I think that makes sense. If property owners already have some idea in terms of how they might be able to utilize the property to benefit the township and the requirements that you need to meet under MS4. So I would suggest looking at the credit manual again, looking at the structural BMP credit, also read the language relative to the stormwater partnership credit to kind of better understand the framework of those. And then once you have some ideas, I would say schedule the pre-application meeting.
This is your game, not mine. So I need your guidance.
yeah,
When do you want to come over? I'm sure Karen would invite you to come in, too.
I'm happy to follow up with you after the meeting, and we can
Sounds
talk
good.
about that. So,
We'll leave it at that.
okay.
Awesome.
John,
I'm starting enforcing the 3-minute rule
can
soon.
I give a quick?
Yep.
I think people need to remember, some of us have lived here more than 20 years. I've lived here 50. And mid-'90s, I think 96, we had a major flood, not just Maple Vale, but right here on Edgewood Road, the bridge that was completely over with water. And it was my street, which does have good stormwater management. The water came up over the curb. We had like 21 inches of rain in a very short amount of time. So it can happen. It's not, unfortunately, it's not every 100 years anymore.
Hi.
Hi, Bob Harmon, Lower Makefield, 25 years, lifelong residents of Lower Bucks. Kind of sad seeing all the land disappearing, but that's a whole nother topic. I'm sorry I didn't get involved more in the government meetings, but you'll see a lot of me in the future. I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway, the main two things is I thought, well, the new, as far as I know, this is the first tax in many, I mean, have we ever, had a new tax come along? I mean, to me, it should have been better notification instead of public meetings. Did some people, was there a letter sent? I never got one.
There was not a letter sent to all
Yeah, I mean, I get
13,000 parcels in
Excuse me, I'm
the township.
I mean, I've received letters on silly things like a neighbor 10 houses down is, wants to extend their impervious surface. So I don't know why 34,000 people, we're paying 80,000 for I think the third-party processing of the bills, if I'm not mistaken. But in any case, my point is, I thought a new tax in a township that's been around for a long, long time should have had better notification. That's all I'm saying on that. Secondly, and I don't have a big property or anything like that, but my point is, all this, having been here my whole life, is from overbuilding, overdevelopment. Your jobs are very difficult. I'm sympathetic. Again, I should have been involved more because I have a big mouth and I talk a lot. But my point is, again, that are the developers being hit up for any kind of extra fees? Because they're causing, we never had this before. I mean, growing up, I remember 96, but it had snowed. I think it snowed, then it rained, or rained, then it snowed. But
It rained.
the weather patterns are changing. But to me, it's overdevelopment. As of today, it's sad. There's no more farms left, unless they're preserved, of course, Patterson and a couple others. But, I mean, when I was a kid, and not to bore everybody, but, I used to drive up, put $2 of gas in my car, drive around up in Newtown, and it was all farms. And I understand progress, population explosion, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, the bottom line is, these big shot developers come in and try to, boss you around. I think they should be hit up with some kind of, if they're not already, I don't even know, some kind of fee. I mean, we got fees on everything.
So
Yeah, I mean,
That's my point. I don't know if the-
I was going to say, yeah. So two elements. One, post the Maple Vale floods, we instituted the strictest stormwater management ordinance in the state, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, bar none. We charge and we are aggressive on it. That being said, property owners have rights, and there's a balance between property owner rights and the community. And the challenge is that the state government limits what we can and can't do, which makes it very difficult sometimes when we're trying to push back. At the part of the meeting that you didn't see was, which a previous commenter mentioned, the Regency situation, right? We had a developer in that case, Toll Brothers, where we had a significant issue with the community where they had a real mold issue, right? We had to step in and do the analysis and figure out and fix that. So we are trying to hold them accountable. And so a lot of times, you know, these companies, they're very large and they're very influential.
Yes.
And by the way, there's a whole host of people telling everybody about housing affordability, which is a real issue. But the way to solve it isn't neuter local governments, right? And throw that and limit our ability to manage development in a structural way. Instead, that's what they're pushing, as opposed to the other issues of affordability or actually changing the way in which we do development to increase responsibly density and reduce costs of development. There's a lot of opportunities there. The problem is the local governments, we're hamstrung by a lot of things that the state, at the end of the day, we're limited. That's why the tax is the only other element we have. We're near a cap on your property tax that in Bucks County is 5 times more restrictive than Montgomery County, right? I would have been happier to raise your property taxes than institute a new fee, right? That's not a problem. I would easily do that because it would be easier to administer. But because of that cap and the limitations of what we can spend, we have to make sure we have enough money for police. We have to make sure public safety is met. Your roads, we got to deliver on that stuff. And same thing with stormwater. It's an infrastructure and it's a utility. We have to get that done. So it's unfortunate. I appreciate your circumstance. No one likes to pay more for anything. Trust me. And if you want me to go after developers, oh my gosh, I love that, right? They restrain me in meetings with, Dave is laughing. Because I enjoy that. So we're here for you on that. We want to do the best we can. I appreciate your concerns, and you're welcome to all future meetings, and you can be a loudmouth too.
Thank you again for your time.
Okay, so with that, I think we've covered that. Remember, if you didn't get a public comment now, you can always come at the end of the meeting. Oh, one more, okay.
Hi, my name's Steve Willard. I live at 178 Taylorsville Road, and I'm on the very northern end of the township above Woodside Road and between Mount Airy. Part of my property is the Jug Hill Christmas Tree Farm, and we border the 13th par 5 coming down Makefield Highlands and then to the property line, and then it goes south toward Yardley. 180C is also 180C is also the property I own. And my problem over the years, I've lived there since 1981, and this is when the property was farmed by the Dagwitts. And about every 8 to 10 years, I would have issues with water runoff coming right down the hill because corn was planted, straight rows going right up and down the hill. Well, and then the course was built, and I thought that was going to solve my issues. But that elevated tee, I have 1,900 feet of property line, what borders the golf course and comes down along the 13th par 5 there, and you got the cart path, what comes right on down. And that 2023 storm, which was the biggest storm over the 40, 50 years that I've been there, but that created such a problem coming off the golf course behind that elevated tee that, I mean, I had Jim up there after that, as well as other times. And there was nothing that that Lower Makefield Township found that they could do about it. And the water came right down that cart path and right through my property. It looked like you were up on the Loyalsock Creek up in Williamsport or somewhere. I mean, that's how wide the water was coming down through my property. House, patio, pool, right on through. And the whole problem is there's houses below me. So it was an absolute disaster. Taylorsville Road was closed for 3 or 4 months. They had to redo the bridge down there at Dwyer's Creek. But what I don't understand, and I ended up after that, I ended up probably putting in $50,000 worth of drainage work between 180C, my property, and 177, over 300 foot of 17-inch pipe coming down around the property, swells, everything you can imagine. And haven't had a problem since, but we haven't had any major rainstorms like we did. So, you know, best management practices, and I just look at that and say, well, what's the golf course? Is this part of the best management practices, what you're initiating here, and what fees what we have to pay? Is the golf course have any responsibility for this water runoff that not only me, but you take every residence, almost every residence from my property on down to Woodside Road is impacted by what comes from the golf course through the drainage areas. And it's monumental, and it never gets addressed, never gets fixed. So, you know, that's a question I have. Who's responsible? And getting back to Judy's response, she had asked a good question. If a landowner would be reimbursed or credited with work that he's done, and I certainly hope so. I mean, that's a lot of money that I spent, and I can't go through it anymore. So that's...
To address your question relatively, because I want to be respectful of it, the golf course does present an opportunity for us to do additional stormwater management. We're going to be looking for other areas throughout the township. We know that particular section. I don't live personally. I live not that far from you in the Clearview Estates neighborhood. So what I would say is we'll be looking for those areas throughout the township where the township has ability to make improvements, and we will be doing that. And that's part of the benefit of the fee. No one likes the fee, but the outcome is that it's often cheaper having a fee than having a flooded house or having those issues. And I appreciate, obviously the
And
challenges.
I'm willing to work with township on that property line, but I didn't get anywhere all this time. But, I mean, I offered, I'll work with you on this, but nothing ever happened. So it's just, I think what I did is going to have a big impact but what it does, it pushes the water right down the hill to the properties below. I try to manage it with riprap and everything going down below my house, but that's a lot of water. And my neighbor right below me, the Rileys at 179, I think. It went right through their house. Just went right through the first floor, took out their driveway. I mean, so that's all.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 7 is the Environmental Advisory Council Tree Squad presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Bray. I am a long-term resident of Lower Makefield Township, and I'm also the current chair of the Environmental Council in Lower Makefield Township. Seated on my left is Carla Kimmel-Smith, also a resident of Lower Makefield Township, and Carla will be introducing herself in a minute or two. So, the reason that we're here tonight is we would like to discuss a program that the EAC is promoting that we think has a great deal of merit and would be very advantageous to have in Lower Makefield Township. And that's the creation of a tree squad. And about 3 months ago, during a meeting, an EAC meeting, I was discussing the need of the township for additional help in maintaining the tree cover in Lower Makefield Township. We have a very ambitious tree planting program in Lower Makefield Township, And our operating maintenance staff is, for one degree, understaffed, and I know many of the people in the operating maintenance group, and they're really skilled, excellent workers, but they can only do so much. So we thought there was a real need to assist operating maintenance in taking care of the tree cover in Lower Makefield Township. So when I had mentioned this at a meeting about 3 months ago, I received a response in a day or two from a township resident named Carla Kimball-Smith, who was on my left. And Carla, just to give you a little history, firstly, is an advanced tree tender certified, level, the top level of certification that you can receive from the tree tenders. And Carla approached us and said that, if there's something that we could set up in Lower Makefield Township, I would love to be a part of that. So anyway, that was the start of the program. Now, also, we do have some other members of the Lower Makefield Township EAC who are certified tree tenders, and that's Alan Dresser and myself. And also, what we did several years ago is we held some training sessions for the operating maintenance group in Lower Makefield Township, and several of those people are certified tree tenders as well. So what we've done is a little preliminary work to make sure that this program that we envisioned is viable. We don't want to bring anything in front of the board that's half-baked. So we've done some preliminary work, and we think that this program really has a great deal of merit. And so what's going to happen today is Carla Smith is going to give a short presentation, and then after the presentation, we would open, for any questions or responses from the board or the audience tonight. And also, what we would really like the board to do today is, to approve the creation of a tree squad in Lower Makefield Township. I might also add that Carla and actually met with Derek Fuller and also Rob, I forget Rob's last name, to discuss this issue with them. And Derek was very excited about it. He said, yeah, we could really welcome any assistance that we could get, from creation of a tree squad in Lower Makefield Township. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Carla, and then after the presentation, of course, we will open it for any questions. Carla?
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So my name is Carla Kimball-Smith. I've been a resident of Lower Makefield Township since 2009. I live in the Arbor Lee neighborhood, which is known for trees. My background is engineering, so I'm not an arborist or anything. My hobby is trees. I love trees. And as Jim mentioned, I've gone through a lot of the training that the Pennsylvania Horticulture Society offers on tree tending, and I'm going through it again now as things are always refreshed, so continue to learn in that space. Thank you for having me here today to talk about the tree squad idea and proposal. So why a tree squad for Lower Makefield Township? The township has really demonstrated a large commitment to trees and growing the canopy, which is wonderful. It's to be commended. I think we have a unique opportunity to engage the community in that work further. So our idea here is to put together a group of volunteers with the focus on the stewardship of the LMT tree canopy. And what they will do is really, with the tree plantings that are already taking place, they would focus on survival and maintenance of those. So Jim mentioned I have met with Derek Fuller and Carl Hibbs to talk about this idea. They were very welcoming to assist with this because the numbers of trees that we were planting is so large. And there's lots of work to do. We need more hands. So our goal would be to ensure that we have a 90% plus survival rate for years 1 through 3 of plantings. This is the most crucial time for a newly planted tree. I do want to clarify too, I mentioned the tree tenders group quite a bit. We've been going through the education of that. I looked into, should we be a tree tender group? And right now, we are not going to meet the requirements. It's become quite bureaucratic, unfortunately. So we want to keep it simple. We want to add value to our community today, and that's why we're calling it the Tree Squad. And maybe in the future, we'll meet the requirements of tree tenders. I'm not saying we wouldn't try to do that, but right now, we have a need, and we can meet it with our Tree Squad. So that is our proposal. Next, so how would this work? Right now, we see the Tree Squad as reporting into the EAC and being accountable to the EAC. So I have started participating in the EAC meetings the last few months and would continue to do that. I've already met with Derek and Carl, as mentioned, and Carl would be more my partner in this from the operating maintenance team. So if we would go out with the aim to apply mulch, do some watering, I'd coordinate with Carl what dates work, how can we get the right equipment and support for our volunteers, and go about it that way. In terms of volunteers, this is where we're looking outside to say, where can we get them from? We would look at the local schools. I know the National Honor Society has requirements for volunteer hours. My kids just went through that. So we could pull on them, maybe partner with some of the HOA or local groups, volunteer organizations. My kids were both in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. We've done a lot with them in the past. And then there's some local businesses that we also have some connections to that we feel we can pull from for partnerships and volunteers. To make sure we're making the progress that we want to see, we would have metrics around tree health. In meeting with Derek and Carl, I know that the township has an asset management tool with an option to catalog our trees as assets. It's already set up in the system. So we can do that and monitor the health and track that with our inventories. We would also be able to tag new planting survival rates with that, and then monitor our canopy percentage to see if it's increasing as desired. And certainly we would track the volunteer hours as well. In terms of what would we do year-round, high level, I've noted some things here. So in the winter, that's a great time for structural pruning of trees while they're dormant. In the spring and fall, you know, we have the plantings. We would also look for any additional needs for weeding and mulching. And then in the summer is really critical, particularly for the newest planted trees. We would want to make sure that they're getting the water that they need to survive their first summer. Secondarily, we've talked to the core team that we have working right now on this. Hazard trees are a concern. So do we have a way to report hazard trees and then take care of them appropriately? Next, we've continued to do a lot of work in this case. So we do have a small core team of 4 of us that have been working on this. We have a charter. We've set up digital accounts for contact. If you approve of us starting this tree squad, we will hit go on all of those and really start to solicit the volunteers to get the activity started. And that's all I have prepared for you today. What questions do you have?
Well, actually, thank you so much for your presentation. Wanted to give a quick announcement. I think we can get some volunteers for you, a lot of them, and let me explain how. So within the stormwater management fee, we have an opportunity for public participation credit that offsets your stormwater utility fee. So 1 hour equals 5% credit with a max 10% credit. So if you're asking yourself, hey, I got a very large bill for stormwater management, if you're willing to help out with trees, you can reduce that. And that will make a difference in the community, and I think that could be an ideal way for us to generate additional volunteers, among other ways as well.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea, John. And also, we foresee Carla Kimball-Smith being the leader of the tree squad. And since the word of this has gotten around just a little, 2 or 3 people have already come up to me and said, hey, if the board passes this, I would love to be a member, okay? So, I mean, come on, trees are like motherhood. I mean, how can you get upset, about trees? And I was kidding with Dave once. I told him that I have a singular ambition, and that's to make Lower Makefield Township into a giant arboretum. And who can really argue with that? And they talked also before about the value of stormwater, management as far as trees are concerned. A mature tree can actually soak up 400 gallons of water in a day. So they are our single most inexpensive stormwater management tool, I think. So the more we plant, I think the better we are from a stormwater management viewpoint. All right.
Is there any board questions or comment?
Dave, do we still have folks on staff that are tree tenders as well?
Derek and Carl both went through tree tender.
Well, we had a similar conversation about 3 years ago when we had 3 Park and Rec staff members that were certified tree tenders. 3 of the 5 staff at the time were all certified tree tenders. So I'm curious if are they still on staff or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Derek's not on mic, but he said yes, they're still on staff.
What we also plan on doing, assuming that, this will be approved, is there's lots of educational courses regarding tree maintenance, not only from tree tenders, but from Bowman's Hill and other organizations like that. So firstly, the initial members that we're going to end up with will have various skill levels, some a lot. But initially, it doesn't take a lot of rocket science to help, mulch a tree. But our long-term goal is to educate all the members on at least a 6-month or a yearly basis by bringing in outside educators and, teaching people about tree maintenance and pruning.
You say it doesn't take a rocket scientist, but the internet taught me I had to do a mulch volcano. And then a couple of years later, it said mulch volcanoes are the worst thing that you can do. So I have no idea how to keep my trees alive. I do have a few questions. So Derek, you and I have spoken before, and I know you're a giant proponent of all the plantings, but you have expressed, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, a concern that we don't necessarily have the staff to properly maintain and nurture all these new plantings. Is that accurate? Okay, so for the record, Derek is saying yes from the back of the room. Is there an ask from the board? Is there something that we need to do here? Do we need to authorize a subcommittee of the EAC? Do we need to pass an ordinance? What's the operative thing here?
Basically doing a volunteer group which is, correct me if I misspeak, Jim, but for township-owned land where we have trees, they're going to kind of go around, take a look, and see healthy or not healthy, and what maintenance needs to be, how they need to be maintained, pruned, et cetera. So it's labor from a arborist perspective.
And if I give you a couple of hours in the fall, you'll teach me how to properly prune my trees so they don't grow across each other and turn into a knot?
I will actually come to your house and teach you how to plant a tree,
Thank you, Jim.
Colin, okay? And make sure we don't have any mulch mounds, okay?
So, I mean, if that's the simple ask, I'm happy to make the motion that we authorize the EAC to coordinate a volunteer tree squad to assist the Director of Operations in his unyielding quest to turn Lower Makefield Township into an arboretum.
Right.
And I'll second happily.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions, concerns? No. Oh, there's public comment? Sure, come up to the, you have to come up to the, you have to come up. And just say your name, whether you live in Lower Makefield.
Sandy Nuzzolo. It's unfortunate that the township is Tier 2 and they won't be able to count those trees towards stormwater management.
Okay. We have limited second bites at the apple roll here.
My only concern is, I can remember there was a while back, great.
Sir, I have to interrupt you.
My name is Ralph Nuzzolo.
Sir? I'm sorry. The person taking minutes needs you to say your name and
My name is Ralph Nuzzolo. I live at 628 Stony Hill Road. I think diversity is an issue to be considered with the planting of the trees. I can remember that there was a point in time where the tree of the day was the white pine tree, and there were thousands of them planted, and they are problematic. They are brittle. The limbs break very easily. So I'm hoping that whatever happens with the initiative here, that there's a level of diversity being considered in terms of the types of trees and the species that are being put in. Some of the maple trees are invasive.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
so-
they're really problematic.
To your point, annually we do a tree planting plan, and as part of that, that's something that we collectively, the EAC and others, help to develop that tree planting plan every year. We also have a native planting ordinance, so every tree that gets planted, every tree, shrub, whatever else we're planting, is native to Bucks County. Generally, we look for a diverse array of species. Eastern white pine is a native species to this area. It has its place. I wouldn't plant them everywhere,
Right.
But we also have lots of other interesting trees that we try to plant that do a great job. So
Yeah, the giant arbs are now in big time, and they're going up all over. I guess they're a little bit more substantial in terms of their resistance to disease, et cetera. But I'm glad to hear that that is under consideration.
yeah, no, that's something every year when the EAC comes to us, we'll go out to bid for it too, to landscape architects to just develop these long-term plans. We have more discussions about trees at this board, the EAC and others, Planning Commission, Zoning Hearing Board sometimes, that you can believe me or not, but I can assure you that that's something that this group puts a lot of thought into it.
I might add that diversity is the key to a healthy environment. And in the initial planting so far, I think we've planted between 40 and 45 different species.
Yeah.
And our native ordinance calls for, I think, maybe up to 150 to 200 different native trees. So we're very, very careful about the specific species and where we plant it. And these plantings are also thoroughly vetted. Generally, what happens is the EAC does the initial work, and then firstly, we had a long-range plan created by, I forget his name, Thomas Associates, and then that plan was vetted by the EAC, and we came up with various plantings at different times of the year. And then Lower Makefield Township would take a look at that. And then also they used the engineering group, the landscaping division. So it's literally vetted 4 times. So we're pretty careful about what we plant and where we plant.
I'll give you a second here, but when we look at, one of the important things about our native ordinance and why we have it is the term diversity, the biological term or the scientific term is biodiversity, right?
Right.
And when you have native biodiversity, there have been many, many studies done about what types of other species, animal species and others, will live in a backyard if you have native plants versus something that's more, a pretty plant that's not native, right? It's a landscaping plant. There are levels of something like 80 to 90% difference in the number of native animal species, insects, pollinators, all those important things that keeps our farms going and everything else, that will be in a backyard that is planted with native species versus just landscaping species, even at the same density. So it's pretty important that we do that.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. And I'm a naturalist at Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve, and that's one of the messages that I constantly talk to people about when I'm giving tours. I mean, that is the key. When you have a healthy environment, it's like a huge tapestry that all fits together, and trees are an essential part of that.
My name's Mark Sanford, 879 Big Oak Road. I'd just like to add to that, I'd love to volunteer, although I won't get credit for a tier 2, which is really unfortunate. I could probably even donate some saplings, since I've got thousands of them on the property, mostly oaks, red oaks, white oaks, beech, some black locusts. They've got to be local because I never planted them. So, and native to the area. I assume that's part of what, and we could possibly even get you some poison ivy and some other things. So, anyway,
Well, actually, poison ivy is a native plant.
Oh, Jim.
It's also incredibly beneficial. Beautiful fall color, and it feeds untold number of animals and creatures in the forest too.
It puts a less beautiful
Wisteria?
spring color on my children, though. So
Yeah, well, also the fact is I can pull it out with my bare hands, and I don't get any rash. My wife swears if she's within 50 feet of it that she'll get an infection. But anyway,
It looks nice. If you
Wisteria, can I interest you in any wisteria? that just takes over everything. So there's plenty of plants there. You know, if you've left something natural, naturally wooded, you know, it just grows. You know, if I don't fight it back, it's going to just take over everything.
Well, thank you for wanting to become a member, even though you don't get credit. It's the right thing to do.
And I just want to remind people that someone thought it was a very, very good idea after World War II for erosion in the south with the red clay to plant kudzu, which you can actually watch grow, and it is eaten the south. It is the plant that ate the south. Watch it grow.
With that, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the LMT Tree Squad?
Aye.
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 Okay. Moving on to agenda.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks.
You
Thank you.
appreciate that. It's always a pleasure putting a project in front of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Bray. Moving on to agenda item 8, the consent agenda items. Just a reminder, we removed agenda item 8G from the consent agenda. We have tabled it. So at this time, if anybody has any concerns with any of the items between 8A and 8F, please speak now so that we can remove those and consider them separately. And not seeing any comment, I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the consent agenda items 8A through 8F, recognizing that 8G has been tabled to a later date.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Can I ask a question about one of the items on there?
You can ask a question.
And,
yeah.
and it's just because it's more of a, making sure people are aware. Item 8F with Big Oak, Bowman, Big Oak
Oh,
Trail
yeah.
Management Association, the 26-27 deer hunting season.
The bow hunters.
We just want to know when that starts and if we're going to have any more information about that.
Bow season is before.
If you could just give me a minute, I can pull
I used to
pull
know
that up.
when that was, because they used to hunt in my backyard.
I don't want to pull it off the.
Yeah. So one thing to note, I know there's a neighborhood that has been particularly concerned about Boma hunting near them.
Excellent.
That's not on the list as much as I would like it to be. So if you're in that neighborhood, want to come and complain, come on down. We need to get rid of the deer.
I will tell you, Bowman does an excellent job. They're very safe. Like I said, I've lived here 50 years. Can I give them a thank you? I'm going to give them a thank you for dropping off some steaks to me.
All right. While he's figuring that out, we'll move on to agenda item.
Yeah, I have that, Mr. Vice
Okay,
Chair.
good.
So the start of the season is September the 19th of 2026, and it would run through January 24th of 27. So
For the sake of the record, I'm not certain that Mr. Grenier's vote was clear.
He was a yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. Moving on to agenda item 9, engineers report.
yeah, the copy of the engineer's report was in your packet. Adrian is here to address any questions that you may have concerning any of the items that are noted in the report.
We already brought you up a couple times. I'm okay with letting you go this time, but maybe next time. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 10, managers report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board. The first item is to consider the appointment of Dan McClune, AICP, to serve as the Lower Makefield Township zoning officer. This was a role that previously was occupied by Jim Majewski as the Director of Community Development. Recognizing that due to Jim's retirement, that position is vacant, we are recommending the appointment of Daniel McClune to serve in that capacity moving forward.
So moved?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And aye twice. Mr. McClune is wonderful. It was a pleasure to work with him on planning for quite some time.
Thank you very much.
And I'd like to add for the record, I still owe Mr. Majewski a 12-pack of Diet Coke because I drank some of his. So, moving on to, yes, moving on to agenda item 10B,
Yes, the next item is consider establishing the dates and times for the township's 9/11 25th year remembrance events. This has been a topic of conversation at prior meetings of the Board of Supervisors. The most recent meeting of the 9/11 25th year Remembrance Committee was held on April the 20th, at which they made the following recommendation. They are recommending that the township consider holding a morning ceremony, which is, again, consistent with past practice, and then a pre-sundown ceremony occurring after work to permit individuals that are unable to attend the morning ceremony to potentially consider attendance in the evening, with the formal event concluding at sundown, followed by making the garden memorial available for reflection, communal and sort of individual reflection that evening.
Can you clarify the times that they were recommending for the afternoon or later event?
Yeah, the discussion at the committee level, I think, was contemplating a 5:30 start for the evening event with conclusion at sundown.
7:30-ish?
7:30-ish. It was about that, yes.
Okay.
Is there a motion to accept the dates and times? Once there's a motion on the floor, you're eligible to make a comment. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I will move that we accept the recommendation of the town's appointed 9/11 Memorial Commission to set the dates and times for the memorial services to be September 11th, 2026, in the morning and afternoon as they have designated.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. With that, it's open for discussion. Is there any supervisor comments?
I'd like to just make one brief comment. I have been in conversation with Ellen Sarancini of the 9/11 Memorial Garden of Reflection, Inc., the 501c3 that is affiliated. There may be some willingness to work together on their pre-planned program, obviously altered, to take place in the afternoon time slot. I don't think anything about this motion would preclude Mr. Kratzer from working with that group to see if some accommodation that could be made to kind of meet the interests of all parties.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I just make I haven't talked to them, but some members of the committee attended the first meeting, then left the committee almost immediately. I would hope, if we're doing this the way I would love their input and their help on especially the afternoon event, understanding their sensitivities around a morning event. I get that to the extent that I can get that, not being in their shoes. But I would hope that we would, if they were willing, able, and wanting to invite them back to the committee, possibly, and this isn't part of the motion, I know, but possibly even set up a subcommittee specific to each of the different events so that they could help with that subcommittee specific to the afternoon or early evening event, because they have a lot of history with that event, obviously. It's a very important event, obviously, and I think we could benefit as a township from their input. And this is truly, when we set this committee up last year, it was so that we could have a true community event and bring community members together on a very historic, tragic day that we're hopefully turning positive turn on 25 years later. But it means I'm hopeful that they still will participate in that in some way, shape, or form, just because I think we're better off for it if they do.
I agree. I would like them to come back to the committee. They're far more organized than I am, I will admit. And I think they bring a nice sense. It's, and certainly to continue at dark, to have the candle lighting and turn the fountains on and have a chance for people to reflect. I think it would be nice for our community to have that. I certainly do understand everyone's sensitivities. I admit, whenever that bell rings, it hits me pretty hard. but I guess that's something I'm going to have to live with. And it just, for me, it would be a much more pleasant day knowing that everyone has their opportunities.
Before I call the question, I understand there's one public commenter, is that, or two public, or, oh, just one? If you can come up and just state your name, whether you live in Lower Makefield.
My name is Alan Barth. I'm a Lower Makefield resident. So I'm a little confused. So is the motion to have the morning ceremony and an afternoon ceremony, and then,
If you could be closer to the mic, that would be helpful.
oh, I'm sorry. So it's my understanding then from this, there'll be the morning ceremony with the bell tolling, and then a later ceremony before sundown. Will there be a formal candlelight vigil? I understand there's been another
So that,
permit filed, but was not approved for a formal candlelight vigil.
if I may, the motion is specifically just to set the times of the ceremonies to those times recommended by the Township's Volunteer Commission.
Right.
Which would be on the morning of September 11th, and then a separate evening service to begin at 5:30 PM and to conclude by sundown. That is the entirety of the scope of this motion that's in front of us right now.
Okay, so does that preclude somebody from having a formal candlelight vigil at 8:15 when it's actually dark?
Well,
I think that there's a lot of details to still go through. I'm going to just say on its face, no, right? But there are still details to work through. The Volunteer Commission is tasked with doing the planning. If they were, for example, I don't want to go into hypotheticals. I want to let them do their work and make their recommendations. I think what we're expressing up here is an interest in working with that outside group who's submitted that permit to make sure that we can meet each other's shared visions with respect to the times that have been placed here. So there's no hard nose here. We're just talking about giving the directive to the volunteer committee to continue its work.
So I can't understand why you seem to be digging your heels in on a candlelight vigil that has to take place at nighttime.
With all due respect, I'm not digging my heels in any way. We're not having a motion about a permit to approve or deny. This motion is entirely just on following up on the recommendations of the Volunteer Commission of the town that was appointed by the Board of Supervisors, held their meetings, made their recommendations so they can continue on their work. There is certainly a lot more planning to happen around these events and around other groups' interests in participating in these events and secondary events. That will all continue forward as discussions.
And I appreciate you saying that, but it's still very specific that it must be done before sundown. And it's been very specific that it needs to be done before sundown out of respect for our Jewish population. I'm going to say one thing right now that's going to bristle a lot of people. But 9/11 is not about Jewish people. It may be considerate to try to accommodate one group because of their faith, but it is appalling to watch you deny families directly impacted by 9/11 and the community for a large-scale candlelight ceremony and not allow them to grieve in the way that has given them hope and comfort for many years. Mrs. Reese, I would never begin to tell you how to grieve the tragic loss of your son. I would never do that. But you, of all people on this board, should understand how much this candlelight vigil means to so many families. Why? I don't understand. It can't be supported. And I will amend my statement from last month. Governor Josh Shapiro has never visited the Garden of Reflection during a 9/11 ceremony.
Excuse me, he has.
As governor.
Before he was governor and
I
once
said
he.
governor.
And also as governor. We have these every single year.
But Governor
Yes.
Shapiro has never.
We're at our 3 minutes.
Okay.
Let me be direct
I
here.
just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
I just want to clarify.
hold
Let
on.
me just finish. I'm almost. Okay.
We've worked pretty reasonably. I don't understand why we have to parse out at the time at which the governor was there or not there, what his title was or the status. or we don't have to get into the digging of the details of this. We're collectively trying to work through to find something.
I understand.
Please be respectful of everybody involved, right? And give a fair hearing, okay? I don't understand why we need to, all I said was that we want to invite everybody who may come, right? To speak. We want to make sure that it's an open event. So, again, you had your 3 minutes. We thank you.
I think they were interrupted. So what is more curious to me is, again, why it's important to accommodate Josh Shapiro when the simple wishes of the 9/11 families.
Okay, that's your last question? You're at 3 minutes.
I'm at
You're at
3
3
minutes
minutes.
with everything we've talked.
You asked,
Carried on.
you're at 3 minutes.
Well, I'm just going to say, if you're accommodating Josh Shapiro,
We're not. The odds are he's not going to show.
Ma'am, nobody on this podium has spoken with Governor Shapiro. No one in this township.
it's the board that said flat out, but Governor Shapiro won't be able to
And
come
I'm
if it's
assuring
after
you
sundown.
on the record at this moment in time that no one has spoken to Governor Shapiro about coming to this event.
And not, in addition to that, I think every year Congressman Fitzpatrick comes to at least one
Yes.
of the events, if not both, and he's welcome again this year.
Yeah.
You know, we go to a lot of events with him. And anyone who's, I don't know how else to say it, major elected official
Yeah.
across either party, if they want to speak,
We
not
want
on the committee, but
Yeah.
I've asked every elected official in Bucks County, national, et cetera, statewide, every year in the morning, and almost every one of them has come. We definitely want to end, we just said the speaking and that part would end probably closer to 7:45, and there's no reason why, we have always said we want to have a candlelight at the end. That's just, it just makes the night beautiful to light the candles when it gets dark and turn on the
Right.
fountains. No one is opposed to that. We just want to plan it so it runs smoothly, it runs so that it's easy for our township people to be there.
Right. So before I recognize you for public comment, I just want to say, Supervisor Grenier's remark, major elected officials, we are at the bottom of the totem pole. We are like your tech support, right? I'm going to tell you now, I'm not going to be your next congressperson, just so you know. It's just not happening, right? So, and I don't have a direct line to Governor Shapiro. He wouldn't recognize me from a lineup, right? It's not like we hang out together. So it's not, we just want to have a civic event that the entire community can come together for. That's our entire goal with this. That's what we're shooting for. It is not, like I said, as Supervisor Grenier said, we meet and work with everybody, right? We work for everybody, right? So as part of that, the whole reason why we have public comment, this level of government is different than the other levels of government. And as a consequence, the rules are different. You get to be here, you get to bust my chops. This will be a third time. You can really get me this time. The point I'm making is we have a dialogue with those that we serve, and we want to work with people, and we're trying. With that,
Mark Sanford, 879 Big Oak Road, lifelong resident. What she said. So
okay,
there you go.
extra points.
However, I've watched a lot of the sessions of the meetings on the 9/11. The people that aren't here that you'd love to have back have resigned because you wouldn't allow them to have candlelight vigil. That's what I've seen.
If I may. So I represented the board at the first meeting of the 9/11 Commission. At the conclusion, and we did have a lot of discussion around the timing of the ceremonies. At the conclusion, I asked the members of the commission to sleep on the discussion and to return. We scheduled another meeting so that it could occur before the Board of Supervisors meeting. So everyone had an opportunity to sleep on the discussion and return and then give their best advice to the Board of Supervisors. That's what I tasked that commission to do. 3 members of the board resigned, or that commission resigned, rather than to come to that second meeting and sleep on it as requested. So
But you guys wouldn't budge. I mean, I watched the meetings, and I watched the head of it
Yes.
say that, hey, maybe
I
we
did
should
not
take
budge on giving the
$50,000.
direction of the Board of Supervisors and then asking everyone to sleep on it and return. We weren't given an opportunity to have that follow-up discussion. So you can say that you're appalled with my behavior all you want. I asked people to give time and space to an emotional conversation before a final decision was made. Thank you.
I didn't finish. What I was saying is most people I've talked to into the township about this subject are appalled that you can't make consideration for those people that it impacted a lot, and this is the way they wanted to do it, and that's why they resigned.
I appreciate your comment.
Evening. Fred Childs, Lower Makefield. I appreciate that the township continues this remembrance and recognition, and especially this year is 25 years as a kind of a milestone. As a former employee of an agency that was target number 1 at World Trade Center and who worked with many people who were lost that day, again, I appreciate townships continuing this remembrance and that the fountains and the location is there for all of us to remember. I think it is appropriate for a public agency such as this to consider and to be sensitive of the religious beliefs of many of our residents. So I would just at this point recognize and thank you for this opportunity and your decision on it. So thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Come on up.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Metzger. I'm part of the Pennsbury community, but I'm not from Lower Makefield. Can I make a comment on this?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that this is very serious to everybody. My heart goes out there. I know that 9 families lost people in Lower Makefield, 9 Lower Makefield families out of the 18 in Bucks County. So I know this is huge. And it's a blessing that you've put the Garden of Reflection for everybody to share. I'm not picking sides in any way. Rosh Hashanah is the start of the new year for Jewish religion, and there's less than 3% of Jews in this country, but there are 13% in Lower Makefield. So it's a very large community, and for both days to happen at the same time makes this so hard, right? A blessing that we remember 9/11 and everything it means to this country, but also to respect the fact that regardless of anyone's beliefs, the Torah is the first half of the Bible. So we all believe in creation, which is what Rosh Hashanah is about. So if there's anything that somebody can do to try to figure out how they can be respected before the Sabbath, which is nightfall, on a Friday night, which is a big deal, right? So thank you so much for taking this so seriously, trying to consider both sides, okay? My heart goes out to everybody who's trying to figure it out, but please understand, like, regardless of what belief system anybody's in, this is a very big deal to everybody because this is the belief of creation of Adam and Eve. So regardless of what you believe, this is like the beginning of it all, right? So just please try to respect both sides. And again, Ms. Reese, God bless you. I just can't even imagine having to make the decision for both parties. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your comment.
With that, I'll call the question, and all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Moving on to agenda item 10C.
Yes, and I do note there's one correction to the dollar amount on 1C, and I'll go through that. So consider acceptance of the proposal from Open Spaces and Historic Places, LLC, in the total amount of $26,476 for Phase 2 of the Lower Makefield Township Historic Resource Survey. Again, this is a continuation of a project that was undertaken and concluded last year. Funding, a $25,000 grant is being received through the Certified Local Government Project Grant Program. The matter was tabled at your last meeting. There were some changes that were made to the proposal, specifically in terms of noting project schedule, which is noted in the evaluation and deliverables section. The project is contemplated to be completed over the course of an 8-month period, with the project beginning pending your approval, and then deliverables being completed by December 31st of 2026, which again is consistent with our obligations under the grant agreement. There was some discussion also previously regarding mapped deliverables. There's been some modification to that language in the deliverables section as well, noting that there will be locational information or identification that would allow us to map the results. Again, we have internal capacity to do that. The level of effort to do that is probably sub an hour in terms of time, but this does meet the requirements of the State Historic Preservation Office and the requirements of the associated funding program. So with that, it's back for your consideration. I'm happy to address any questions that you may have.
Okay, is there a motion to consider acceptance of the proposal for Open Spaces Historic Places LLC?
Recognizing that we will need the feedback of Supervisor Grenier, who recommended a number of the requested changes, I will at least open discussion with the motion.
And
I
I'll
move that we accept the proposal from Open Spaces and Historic Places LLC for the Phase 2 of the Lower Makefield Township Historic Resource Survey.
I'll second.
Dan, have you had a chance? Oh, yeah.
After you, so we're going to talk first, and then it's your turn. Sorry, Joe.
Dan, have you
that's
had a
okay.
chance to, because I know you had some good concerns when this came up last. Have you had a chance to
Did you
review?
read Marshall's?
Well, yeah, and so he's looking, he added the schedule. It's
Yep.
good. He removed the mapping from it, so. Now, Dave, the one thing I was trying to get to the last proposal, because one thing I noticed he issued us a new cover letter based on our comments, which was useful. What I was trying, and for some reason my computer wouldn't load it. The consultant compensation stays at $25,000.
That is correct.
And then he added $1,476 for insurance required by the township on top of that $25,000. Was that included in the last proposal? I thought we had a flat $25,000 fee last time.
So it was a flat $25,000 fee. However, there was some back and forth in terms of insurance requirements, in terms of what was being recommended by our carrier. And I don't know if you were involved in this at all, Maureen, or not.
I was not, no. So I don't recall any of these discussions.
Okay. So it sounds like we're getting a little bit less of a because the mapping is no longer included, but now
Correct.
for some reason the cost hasn't gone down. So Andy's now charging us.
Yeah, my understanding is part of the first fee, that was the insurance was almost treated as a reimbursable, is what I understood from the prior phase 1 work. So this is now just itemizing what his cost of insurance in order to meet our insurance requirements are.
And that would be part of the grant?
So we have a maximum grant amount of $25,000.
Okay.
However, the program requires a 10%
Oh,
match.
okay, so
There was a $2,500 match, which is less than the amount of the insurance that's being reflected on the proposal.
Can we apply that 2,500 to the insurance since it's technically 26,000 now?
Yeah, I mean, we would match that. Again, we have a 10% required match under the program.
And what, I guess we still don't have terms and conditions, so do we have a contract with any terms, or is it just, this is what he's going to do? And
This is essentially how it was handled as part of Phase 1. So this is the extent of the proposal that's been provided at this point.
just generally, I think with future proposals from contractors, we need, much like we do with our engineering firms and solicitor and everyone else, we make sure that we have terms and conditions in the future just to protect us and our contractors. I mean, the work he's doing is pretty straightforward now. We have a schedule. That's good. We have funding for it. That's great. It's even better. And we'll have it done by the end of the year to add to it, so. So let's just go forward with it.
All right. I'll call, oh, wait, we have public comment.
I'm
There's
a little
no frequent flyer points.
Andy Nuzzolo, 628 Stony Hill Road. We had Jeff Marshall show up on our property to review it. Is that part of this historic that they're doing? Because we didn't know he was going to be there. And our property is historic. It's...
Yeah, so what, maybe I can give a little bit of an overview of what we've been doing the last couple of years. We've been doing an inventory of potentially historic homes throughout the township as part of just a general register of historic places.
Oh, not to give them credit for stormwater runoff.
Not at all. Typically, historic homes are terrible for stormwater management, especially old farmhouse. But so no, we've been active because Lower Makefield has been home to some beautiful old homes. We're trying to inventory them, possibly can if folks are interested in being developing an historic neighborhood potentially, or some historic.
There was a survey that's being updated.
If the community is interested in that, they would have the information to be able to do that. So all we've been doing is we've hired Jeff Marshall, I'm probably going to hire him again, to go through the township and do those initial surveys. And he shouldn't be trespassing at your house.
Well, I had no
I'm
idea
glad
that
you said-
that he was going to... I didn't know you were doing this, but what's
Yeah.
the purpose? For touring, people want to tour the township? To see
No. So there is, the township has, we have a historic committee, historical commission. We also have, when you have an old home, you can register for National Register of Historic Places, NRHP.
We're on the state, no, the county register.
Okay.
We're not on the national because then you can't make changes to your property at all.
That's the thing, and that's where they get you. But what it does is, if you are listed or you are in a historic district, or some historic overlay, if that's what you want, it does allow you or the township to get grant funding to do different projects related to historic
Great, can
preservation.
you use some of that grant funding to offset our stormwater bill?
Unfortunately, the SHPO is not overly flexible in what we can apply those funds to. Otherwise, if we could squeeze them for every penny to do all that stuff, we absolutely would, especially Mr. Lewis, trust me.
Dan,
But no.
if I remember, it's probably about 20 years ago, the Historic Commission did do some work on these homes, and we had a very nice little booklet. And I think this is just updating, and I think it goes along with what I'm working with, which is Bucks 250, which is part of, Pennsylvania 250, that, and I forgot to bring the maps, I won't get them to everybody. But it gives us a chance to be able to look at our community and be able to show what we've done and what's happened here in the last, over 250 years for Bucks County.
And all the data gets uploaded. There's a website that the Pennsylvania Historic Museum Commission, which is our state historic preservation office, they maintain an online database on this website called PA Share. And we upload all that information with photos and descriptions and all that stuff. So there's a master list.
So our house will be on there with this PA
If
share?
he's already been, he's probably already there, honestly.
Oh, really? I see. We're not very tech savvy. That's how we keep,
Yeah.
we're seniors, you know?
I hear you.
We still have dial-up phones. Yeah.
I use the tin can order. I grew up in Maine. We still have the tin cans.
To just on the note of the comment, though, we should let Jeff know, I think the intent here is to do street level drive-by photography of the facade or elevation of the home. We also want to just catalog this because we sit with the Historic Relations or Historic Commission and we say, man, we wish people took more pictures 100 years ago, right? Whenever photography was invented, Mr. Nuzlo is judging me. He was my principal when I was a child, and I should probably know that photography is older than 100 years.
I thought you were going to say
He was also the superintendent.
No.
He was also superintendent of Pennsbury Schools.
So, but anyways, Dave, we should let the contractor know that if they need to go onto private property to make these photos, that the township should coordinate time and access, so we're not just wandering onto people's front yards.
Yes.
So I apologize for that.
Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now we'll move on to agenda item 10E. Oh, did Matt vote?
I said aye.
Okay.
We're tabling D?
Yes, we already tabled D.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item is consider Resolution 26-08, authorizing the submission of Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development a Strategic Management Planning Program grant for what we're calling the OpenGov Financial Management and Budgeting Initiative. This is, as the board is aware, and some members of the public may be aware as well, we went through this program to do essentially a 5-year financial review and also an operational review. And one of the foundational recommendations or core recommendations of the adopted program had to do with our accounting system and our financial management system and some of the inefficiencies from an operational perspective that are created by virtue of having non-integrated systems. And I know the topic of system integration has been something that many of you on the board have advocated for. The reason it's specifically noting OpenGov is we currently are an OpenGov customer in their with their permitting and licensing solutions. So all of our permitting is now done through OpenGov. That system would in turn integrate with our financial management system, which is currently dated, and then would also add additional functionality around budgeting and performance, which currently is done, again, using sort of disparate solutions subject to human error and time associated with the inputting and importation of data. So this evening, all we're asking for is authorization to submit an application to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development to look at the potential of receiving funding for implementation purposes of that core recommendation coming out of the Phase 1 report that we had done. So happy to answer any questions that you may have, at this point regarding either the OpenGov solution or the program that, again, we're simply authorizing application to.
Will you make a motion first, or you want to ask a question? Oh, go ahead.
So when it comes, OpenGov is one tool, a very popular tool, right? We've used other tools that don't necessarily integrate well with OpenGov, where OpenGov may also offer the same service for a similar tool that might be more easily integrated. Do we have the ability to get off of those other services so we're not paying double until we have a more integrated approach?
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Were a few years ago?
yeah, I mean, that's the intent, that's the point. Again, there were certain, as Strategic Solutions was doing their evaluation, they were noting some of the deficiencies in terms of our, or inefficiencies relative to our process. And so this is a means to try to improve on those processes. Also, again, making sure that reporting is a little bit more easily understood and is being represented in just sort of beyond the numbers, right? There's other functionality with the system. So
Oh, no, please.
Does OpenGov allow you to use their service to pay for fees or real estate tax or anything like that?
They in fact do, and I was about to say,
yeah,
it frustrates me that we had a discussion a couple years ago about we have one solution for Parks and Rec, and it's great, and you can manage all your Parks and Rec, and then shortly thereafter, well, that's the wrong solution for permits and everything else. Now we have one solution that is your permits and all those other things, and now we have one solution for your tax and all those things. So I would be very happy if we could offer a less confusing experience to our residents with one single place to go to interact with the government.
Yeah, I mean, it is an entire ERP system with a multitude of different solutions. Again, this is sort of, there's an opportunity to build upon the relationship and build upon the integration. But again, this is being recommended because it was a core recommendation of that Phase 1 report that was done last year.
Would we have to get a proposal from OpenGov or any of their competitors for that matter, that may, if they have competitors that offer as many solutions? Comparison at some point.
You're getting nicked for
getting
not
too
being
far
on.
away from the mic, sorry. So to repeat quickly, do we have to, are there other providers of the same types of solutions other than OpenGov that if we wanted to RFP it, we could get a couple different options to look at?
Yeah, I mean, there are other players in that space. Again, we're not asking for you to execute an OpenGov proposal this evening, but that may defeat some of the desire for integration, I guess is what I would say.
The segue is, does this grant application have to be written specific to OpenGov services, or can we leave it a little more generic and say a one-stop shop online digital service?
It probably could be more generic. I just don't know that then the associated transition away from sort of the permitting and licensing, we may be creating some additional complexities, I guess, at that point.
I'm just, if there's I don't know, I'm trying to make up a name, OpenFed instead of OpenGov.
Plus,
Yeah, and they
there's
do
others.
do
Yeah.
exactly the same thing
Yeah.
with the same information, but one of them does it for 20% cheaper or something like that. If there's an opportunity to compare apples to apples, or it doesn't exist and it's just like, stop talking, let's go with OpenGov.
Didn't we
I'm cool with
just do
that.
this though 2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the OpenGov evaluations for the permitting and licensing,
Yeah.
that would have been, probably closer to 4 years, I would
Okay,
think.
okay.
But yes, my understanding is that when the decision was made to transition to OpenGov, there was an evaluation of a variety of providers with some consideration of again, trying to integrate at some point. In terms of the scope of work from OpenGov, the pricing, all of that stuff, that we would engage in that conversation after we were potentially awarded, the funding.
So can I make a motion that we authorize the submission of a Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Strategic Planning Program grant for OpenGov Financial Management and Budgeting Initiative, and at the same time, we ask staff, because we're just submitting the grant, we ask staff to spend time evaluating if this is the appropriate long-term platform for us.
Just evaluate alternatives.
Yeah. So move forward on the grant proposal, get it going, and also just spend some time before we take that money and spend it, making sure we're investing it in the right platform for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Before I call the question, is there any other supervisor comment? I think we've gotten all of that out. Supervisor Ross, you're good? I'm not hearing anything?
I'm good.
Okay, no public comment on this one. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you very much. The next item is consider Resolution 26-09, adopting an updated right-to-know law policy. We had updated the policy last year relative to anonymous requests, but some of the modifications that were made to the policy, while not wrong, were creating some challenges related to providing documentation associated with the accreditation of our police department. So the recommendation, again, is to adopt this updated right-to-know law policy, which provides for explicit language relative to the issues of concern associated with accreditation.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah. Madam Solicitor, have you reviewed the policy and feel it's in line with the right-to-know law?
We have reviewed, revised, made a couple of changes, so yes, we're satisfied with what is before you this evening.
Thank you.
I'm not seeing any public comment. No other supervisor comment. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 10G.
Yes, the next item is consider authorizing the release of requests for proposals for design services relating to the awarded statewide local share account grant for Patterson Farm. As the board may recall, and for the public's benefit, the township submitted an application to make certain improvements to the structures at Patterson Farm and was successfully awarded an $860,000 grant through the Pennsylvania Department of Community Economic Development local share account statewide program. In addition to that, the township did internally allocate funding for improvements to structures at Patterson Farm. The document has been reviewed by the Patterson Farm Master Plan Implementation Committee and a specific subcommittee of that group that has related professional experience. Fred Childs was intimately involved in that effort. And in order to proceed with implementing the grant and utilizing the grant, we essentially need a design professional to start pulling together construction drawings and those kinds of things. So we would recommend the release of the RFP. Once those responses are received, obviously it would be brought back to you for your consideration of the proposals.
I move that we authorize the release of a request for proposals for design services related to the awarded statewide local share account for Patterson Farm.
Second?
Dave, the dates on the RFP need to be updated?
Yeah, there's a number of highlighted things. Yep. Again, we're just trying to get through the board meeting. We'll make sure to update, and there's some attachments as well in terms of grant agreements and applications that'll be appended to the RFP.
Thank you.
Dave, at this time, do we have an engineer's estimate of cost for implementing the recommendations?
In terms of the entire property?
In terms of what this RFP is going to cover. So
Well, that's in part what the effort of the design professional. Some of the consulting services will be to scope it consistent with the available funds that exist. So we don't have, we have items or scope items that were outlined in the application, but we don't have associated costs associated with those items. That is part of the services
As part of the planning committee way back when, there were round numbers, not exact numbers, but round numbers thrown out there for various items. I'm just curious if...
Yeah, the source of the numbers, I mean, for the original application that was submitted were based on the adopted master plan and the architectural work that was done as part of that. So I guess to back up, there was some professional basis for saying, okay, here's scope elements that are fundable under this program. Here are the associated costs. It just remains to, obviously when you're dealing with procurement, it remains to be seen what happens.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
It's moved and seconded.
Excellent. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you
Moving
very
on
much.
to agenda item 10H.
The next item is consider the request for an encroachment. This is involving existing improvements in a township drainage easement at 1360 Jacob Drive. The property owner is here this evening to address the board. Additionally, Derek and myself, along with Dan McClune, did visit the property, and we're happy to collectively answer any questions that the Board of Supervisors may have.
Dave, I understand there was an inspection done today and notes taken.
There was an inspection done yesterday with
Okay.
with photographs, yes. So I don't know if you want Derek to address the board.
Well,
first,
I'd
maybe, or-
actually, honestly would prefer to table it tonight so we can actually look at the results of that and understand exactly what was observed and how things were. I know we've seen plans that some of them have, some are more detailed, some are just a box from 5 years ago. But so we can actually understand what was done and how it may or may not affect our easement and our stormwater pipe. So I would,
Okay, I mean,
I would just like some time to actually be able to review that before we make a quick decision on something like that. So I would, I guess, move the table until next meeting, and hopefully we get a summary memo or report, Derek, so we can look at that. That way you have a clear, you'll have a very easy answer once we are able to do that, because right now we're just going to have a ton of questions and probably not a ton of answers just yet. So when it does go to zoning, because I think there's...
Yeah, the matter was continued till the 2nd of June, so you would meet again before the zoning hearing board to discuss and potentially make a decision if that's the desire of the body.
If we were to do that, could we make sure the resident is the first item on the agenda for that date?
So we don't have to sit through this long.
Yeah, no, we could absolutely do that if
Chair's
that's.
discretion, it won't be me.
We'll remind them. We'll remind them. That's probably the best way to handle it, so that it'll be cleared up before we get to the zoning hearing board at our next meeting on the 20th, and then it's continued to the June 2nd, right?
That is correct, yes.
So we'll even have a few weeks before our next meeting in the zoning hearing board, where even you can develop some more ideas after that. But I think we can have a better chance of coming to a better conclusion if we table it till the 20th.
Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Can I just
Yeah.
make a statement to the board?
Sure.
That's why we have to have a motion. A motion and second.
Okay, good evening, board. Thank you for taking the time and considering this matter. So I'm requesting a limited variance relief for the existing minor encroachment into the drainage easement. Just a reminder that the easement or the stormwater pipe in question is several feet below grade. So the improvements that there's approximately 4 or 5 feet encroaching on the easement area do not actually obstruct stormwater flow in any way and have not created any adverse stormwater impacts. Due to the unique configuration of the property or the lot and the location of the easement, strict compliance substantially limits reasonable accessory use of the property. And so I'm prepared to implement reasonable conditions that the township or the board deems necessary to mitigate the situation, including providing a statement or some kind of deed covenant restriction or something that states that I'll have to remove the portion of the shed or the shed entirely that's encroaching this easement at my cost. And the other question I have, or the one question I have, is I'm supposed to be on the agenda next month for a pool permit. Is this delay tonight impact that schedule as well?
So that's why I was saying table it till the 20th. That's our next meeting where we'll, pardon the pun,
May
dig into
20th.
it. May 20th,
May
yeah.
20th.
So that'll occur a couple of weeks before your June 2nd zoning hearing board. So that should not, from a process perspective, correct me if I'm wrong here, should not affect your June 2nd meeting at all.
Okay.
it should flow. From a calendar standpoint, it should be fine. If you come back before this board on the 20th of May, they will issue a decision with reference to this particular easement encroachment, and then you'll be able to proceed to the zoning hearing board. Quite honestly, you'd be able to proceed to the zoning hearing board anyway, because it's for a different request. So you will
So I'm
not-
currently supposed to travel out of state on the 20th, and so should I send legal representation, or what should the appropriate measure be?
So if he's willing to record an additional deed restriction around accepting the burden of cost, do we need to dig further into the details on the encroachment?
Can I ask a real quick question?
I'm just asking.
I have pictures.
Well, it's about that.
Again, they just did an inspection yesterday.
Yep.
To review it.
Yeah.
I don't want to force this issue early.
No, it's fine.
Because if we force it tonight, honestly, I'd be a no vote, because there's a lot of stuff built on top of a 24-inch stormwater pipe. But I
It's
don't
actually
want,
not. If you, and I.
based on the survey plan,
Yeah, I have it here.
I'm looking at it.
There's a shed
There's,
that's on a
Sir,
gravel slab.
So, stop, please.
Sure.
Okay, I have a motion to table, because I don't
Yeah,
want to get into this
didn't want to
discussion
get into
late at night.
detail,
I
yeah.
wanted to
I
see
just
the
have one
details and
question
study them.
for Maureen, that,
We can cover that after.
After, not a
Yeah, so there is a
problem.
motion to table, it has been seconded. We should quash debate at that
Right.
time and take a vote on the motion to table.
And then we-
So with that, I'll I'll call the question on the motion to table to the next meeting. All those in favor of tabling to the next meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Okay. So that's everybody then, yeah?
But-
Correct.
Because I know to answer his question about.
Right.
Appearing.
If you are traveling, Maureen, do you have any recommendations? Because
Is there any possibility that you could join us by Zoom? That's always an option. We could do that, and again, you would have a designated time, and we wouldn't hold you until the end of the meeting.
Yeah, I
I
could
don't
look.
know,
I could-
I knew there was a dual applicant, your wife, I suppose, if she would like to attend as a property owner, that would be fine. Sending legal counsel without you is probably not going to be to your benefit, because I'm sure the board would have questions of you, not necessarily legal representation. So I would suggest one or the other, either sending your wife or joining us by Zoom, Teams, or whatever we use.
And if you have, correct me if I'm misunderstanding, I think your contractor that designed and/or built it is also the one that's doing the pool, so it's consistent?
No, the
okay.
shed that is encroaching was built by an Amish builder out of Lancaster.
Okay.
And I bought it as a kit. He came and dropped it, created the gravel pad when I was not present, dropped it. I guess his assumption was, let's put it as close to the wooded tree line as possible. And that's how the situation came to be 6 or so years ago.
Okay. But the person who built the patio?
Patio is Keystone, who's also the applicant on the pool.
That's what I'm saying. So it may be,
There's a-
if they're available, it may be worthwhile if they attend with you on the 20th, because they can give us more insight into how they built the patio. Because that's also showing up on the plans as encroaching on all of this stuff. So we want to verify whether that's occurring or not, to your point, right? So if,
But I would just assume it is, right? You're saying it is on the survey. There's a portion of the wall on the patio that is, I could say definitively, encroaching in a portion of the easement. No, it's not over the concrete pipe.
according
It's
to
within the-
the plan, it is, though. That's
Not-
why,
not
that's
on
why
the
it would be
survey.
good if they were available to actually describe that and the way they did it. I'm not trying to force you to do that, but I'm just saying by the way the plans appear, the most recent survey, it's showing a wall, some steps up the shed.
Yeah,
is just the
that
corner.
little wall is just a Home Depot special, dropping those, it's just a
Yeah.
loose laid wall. That's not a permanent block or concrete structure.
Again, I'm just reading a survey, so it would be, and if you can do that
I
yourself.
mean, your folks took pictures too, and I have pictures here that I could.
Again, you're asking us to review something on the fly that affects, I think you've been here most of the night, you've heard us talk about stormwater, and how concerned the township is about stormwater, especially our own infrastructure.
That's
where
why
we're
I
concerned
chose
about
not to
damage.
tear down the 100-year oak tree and all the wooded stuff
I
that's on my
understand
lot.
that, but this is not a decision that we're gonna make in 5 minutes, unfortunately. So we need some time to review what was done and understand exactly what was done and how it was done, and then we can come to hopefully a very positive decision and allow you to move forward on June 2nd with the zoning issues, just to be clean about it.
Moving on to agenda item 11A. Eric, if you'd like to come on down. So I can put the microphone on so that folks can hear.
Yeah.
And
Good evening. Before the board this evening is item 11A. Consider acceptance of the lowest responsive and responsible bid for the 2026 spring tree planting project. Bids were received. We had 4 bidders. Those bid results were in your package. The lowest bidder for this project is Mainstream Services, LLC, at a cost of $66,847.67. My recommendation is to proceed with the RCO requirements and then enter into contract with Mainstream Services to perform the service for the township.
is there a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Any questions?
Have we worked with them before? Just
No, no, we did not work with Mainstream Services before. We've worked with 2 of the other 4 bidders in the past. I did talk to Mainstream. They seem more than capable of doing the service. I'm confident with them. I did discuss this with them on Monday, yep.
Okay, with that, I'll call the,
EAC have any input, ideas, concerns at all?
Not besides the tree plantings. I don't think in terms of bid results, I don't think they presented it to them, no.
We're not using our tree tender staff to.
No.
they'll tend to.
at that point, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to agenda item 11B, consider acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for a 2026 road program.
Correct. Again, in your packet, for the supervisors, we had 5 bidders for the 2026 road program. There were multiple alternates in this program. Some of the alternates included trail sections along roll-offs that were not complete in the 2025 program. Our recommendation from staff is to proceed with just all the roadways for the 2026 program at a cost of $2,082,013.13 to Earl Asphalt Company. Again, the trails, looking at the cost, the trail system, looking at the extent of our network, it's staff's recommendation to better understand the 28 miles we have and all of the degradation of the 28 miles before we spend another $151,000 on the trail network. Because quite honestly, at that cost per mile, we're looking at our trails in general, they need a lot of work. Looking at that cost per mile, we're looking at another $10 million investment to redo our whole trail network. So again, I think right now we focus on the roads, get a better game plan with the overall network of the trails before we invest.
Just for clarity, Derek, I'm looking at at the table in Pannoni's letter here. When we say that, that's the base bid plus alternates 1 through 5
and 9.
9, right?
That's correct. Yes.
6, 7, and 8 are the trail.
6, 7, and 8 are trails. Okay. Correct. That is correct.
And on the trail network, we'll be able to start tracking that through Violytics as well.
Yeah, Violytics did give us access. I think they piloted it in the fall. We did get access to it. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten to it yet, but the goal is to drive them and do somewhat similar to what we did with Pannoni and the 3-year road program, kind of come up with a plan, what we need to start investing in these trails, because quite honestly, we need significant investment. $150,000 isn't going to help us in the long run.
But hopefully, once we've cammed it or, reviewed it, we can spend it on the most.
Spend it wisely, correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, or Mr. Acting Chair, I'll say
Vice
that.
Chair, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the lowest responsive and responsible bid for the 2026 road program, following staff's recommendation for the base bid, alternates 1 through 5 and 9.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any additional, there's no public comment. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Moving on to agenda item 12A. Thank you, Derek. 12A, Solicitor's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chair. The minutes should reflect that the supervisors present this evening met immediately prior to this Board of Supervisors meeting to meet in executive session to discuss issues concerning employment, litigation, and a real estate matter. With that, the only item on my agenda is consider authorization of the execution of the financial security agreement, the stormwater BMP operations and maintenance agreement, and development agreement for Oakvale, at Yardley, formerly known as the Wright Farm subdivision. I believe also included as in your packet was the proposed site improvement bond, which is part of the entire package. These have been reviewed by our office. We've gone back and forth with the applicant owner, which is a toll entity, and a land bank, which is now joining in. And again, we've gone back and forth with their attorney, with toll themselves, and what you have before you this evening is what was agreed to by all parties.
Is there a motion?
Just to open discussion, I shall move that we authorize execution of the financial security agreement, stormwater BMP operations and maintenance agreement, and development agreement for Oakvale at Yardley, formerly known as the Wright subdivision.
I'll second, just so we have some discussion.
Okay, so as part of the discussion, I'll state the obvious. I roughed up the solicitor, went through the contract in extraordinary detail, and also requested a sample stormwater management agreement, which was provided. Well, I'm not too excited that Toll continues to use special purpose entities to manage it. I know that's part of the real estate game. Unfortunately, can't hammer them on that, but we're definitely not forgetting the issues at Regency. But I also want to be, property owners have rights, and there's a process, and they've gone through it, and so I'll be voting for it. Anyone else?
So as part of this, this particular development, the prior developer agreed to plant something along the lines of 2,000 trees, or some number. Is that written into this in any detail? And how
Plans are incorporated into these agreements, and the plans reflect that agreement.
Okay. How are they going to be maintaining those trees long-term? Are they going to put a conservation easement over any of that area, or are they just going to?
I don't believe that was part of the requirement that you imposed on the applicant.
I'm just curious to see what their plan is, if they're
I
just gonna
don't,
let it go.
I don't know what their long-term plan is, and if you remember, we were negotiating with one party, it was sold.
Sold, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Toll is now, and a Toll entity is now the owner.
I
Yes.
think that sometimes what they do is, this was farmland, so there's no trees. As each house is built, they'll put like 2 trees in the front, maybe 1 or 2 in the back, around the houses.
No,
This had a
is
bigger.
over and
This is
above.
like 10 acres
Yeah,
of
this
forested
is
land
forested land.
that they agreed to plant.
If I had to guess, I would presume that it would be, because there is going to be an HOA associated with this development, I'm guessing there will be an HOA requirement and obligation to maintain.
We have to make sure that that is what happens, because it seems sometimes with Toll Brothers, they promise an HOA, and when they leave, then there isn't an HOA anymore.
No, I've reviewed the HOA documents.
Good.
There is an HOA to be established and will be established, and it does incorporate that it is required to fulfill the requirements set forth in the plans that are to be recorded along with these development agreements.
And the other sticky part of those plans was access along that one long drive, and then can they get?
Correct,
Yes.
along Patterson Lane.
Patterson
et
Lane.
cetera. Those, actually, those were all taken care of, quite honestly, probably towards the end of 2025. We did a number of things. The only thing left to be done is actually the vacation of Patterson Lane once construction is completed.
Right. Okay.
But everything else is in place. Easements are in place, agreements are in place.
Escrow has been, the required posting of escrow has been posted, all the fees have been paid, everything is, we already have all that.
Yeah, if you recall, so, yeah.
I think they were required,
Get it running
on
good.
that, they were required to post $25,000,
$25,000.
which is a replenishable
Yeah.
escrow in the event that they fail to meet their obligations relative to the maintenance of Patterson Lane.
And they didn't try to change anything that the prior
Nope.
developer
They did
owner-
not, no.
Okay.
Those were recorded by the time settlement took place
Yeah.
between DeLuca and this toll Mid-Atlantic LP
Yeah.
company.
So DeLuca bought and had this one, got it the entitlements, then sold it, and they're also selling Priggett's Preserve, correct?
That's.
That's what's been in the
I have
news.
seen that,
That's
right.
what's been in the
We've
news.
received no notice
Okay.
of that, nor would we have to receive
Right.
notice of that, but my understanding is yes.
Okay.
It is up for sale.
So on this particular development, there is, the areas facing Early Newtown Road will have a significant tree coverage. So part of the planning commission stuff that was worked through got some, I think, some reasonable compromises on that. So not seeing any public comment. Sure.
While you're walking up, Dan, the financial agreement has an addendum to it that catalogs 1,179 trees and shrubs as reforestation area. So I don't know if that's what you've been talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It's itemized by tree. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, Bridal Estates, Robert Harmon, what else? Lower Makefield Township. So yeah, I have a interest in this whole thing, and I'm too little, too late. But the houses that are going up, are they single family?
Yes.
I've never heard of an HOA. You have this in writing, that there will be an HOA? I'd like to see it or something, posted somewhere.
Do have it in writing, and quite honestly, the HOAs are prevalent with single-family.
I've never seen any, I've lived here for 25 years.
So again,
Usually it's with
there's common elements of this development, including the reforested area, obligations to maintain Patterson Lane, stormwater facilities, everything is going to be imposed on the HOA as a responsibility moving forward.
I was chair of the planning commission at the time that this came through. There was extensive discussion around HOAs with the applicant. Yeah.
My only concern is that that Toll Brothers, when they built Yardley Hunt, because I was here, built tennis courts that the HOA and/or people living there were going to maintain those tennis courts, and you can guess who's maintaining all the tennis courts, and some are pickleball.
But in that particular case, we did eventually get funding from Toll.
Did you?
for
Okay.
them. Yeah, that did occur. As it relates to your previous question,
yes.
If you'd like the agreement, or if you'd like the emails that I wrote to Solicitor Carlton asking her difficult questions, those are all right to knowable. So if you're curious, yeah.
Speaking of right to know, lastly, I wasn't even going to talk tonight, but the Bridal Estates Drive traffic study, which is like a total, I'm not even going to get into it, but it's a sore point in my mind of comprehending how they come up with these traffic studies. Is there any way that someone can explain it to me from the engineering part? I know it's a lot to ask, but I never saw any measurement devices on Bridal Estates Drive. How do they know how many? I live there. How many? I don't understand how there. 47 houses. That's 100 cars more, buses, trucks, deliveries. How can that not affect the traffic? I don't get it. And it's been bugging me, and I can't even sleep at night thinking about it. But I'm just asking if someone on a level-headed situation can sit down and explain it to me, because I don't get it, how they come up with these numbers.
So
I really don't.
So sort of to address that question, and I have this long-running joke, by the way, with PennDOT, where I say we have more amateur traffic engineers in Lower Makefield than any other municipality.
Yeah, I'm not
They like that joke. But what I would say is there are rules around traffic studies upon what is being built and what has occurred so they have standard manuals as to what the expected traffic impact is for certain types of development related to other developments. So just because they didn't have measuring elements like at the entrance from bridal estates doesn't mean they don't know what the traffic is in your area. Additionally, and this is also something to note too as you think about traffic, you know, you have a cell phone that's sitting, if you have a cell phone on, most folks' cell phones are burping up their location constantly. So the ability to do traffic analysis and stuff like that has really improved recently in terms of that kind of data, whether it's Place IQ or other folks. That kind of data is available to make a more refined process. I think you could get the traffic, you certainly could have access to the traffic study and read it if you're curious. Okay, yeah.
I'm not in traffic,
Yeah, and I would say, a couple of years ago.
Well, the other one's 271 pages, Torbert's traffic study.
Yeah.
Mine's only 44 pages, so that's why I'm asking about that one. I mean, I just can't comprehend how I know you're under pressure to, make compromises. So my point was, I was just wondering if someone could ever just go over it with me. Maybe I won't be as...
Yeah, well, I think, and we're always happy for public comment, and that's why I invite you, if you're curious, you want that or whatever. During the planning commission process, there were a lot of folks from bridal estates who had questions. If at that time you felt like, hey, I wish I had gotten a better explanation from the traffic engineer or something like that, in that case, the traffic engineer was probably the developers.
No, so during the process, Bridal Estates residents did raise a lot of concerns about traffic.
Yeah.
The applicant then agreed to pay the township, to reimburse the township for the township to run another traffic study around the existing safety conditions in Bridal Estates with our engineer. So our engineer, under our direction, did perform a traffic study at the request of the residents of Bridal Estates.
When you say you're...
The townships, yeah.
Yeah, is that Pannoni or Pannoni?
At the time, I believe it was Safe Engineering, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks again. Maybe I can get a third party to review. I have it. I did do the request, so maybe I can have someone look at it. I mean, it's too little too late, but if I could understand it, it would probably help my sleep deprivation. But
Sorry. Thank you for your comment.
At that point, we haven't taken a vote on it, right? So I'm going to call the question unless, all those in favor of the land development agreement as discussed signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, because I know Supervisor Ross is tracking the total time of meeting and is unhappy I've gone this far, I'm going to omit the discussion items, and I hope you don't mind. And if you come up for extra public comment, any of you. Supervisors report, Supervisor Ross? Hearing gap, that's a
I have no report.
I'll pass on mine. Supervisor Coyle?
I have no report tonight.
Supervisor Reese?
Only that the golf committee said that the golf course is in excellent condition, and we hope people will come out and play.
Excellent. Supervisor Grenier?
The only thing I have to report is that our steering committee meeting for the Stony Hill Road corridor project is tomorrow evening.
Excellent. With that, we'll move on to other business. That's agenda item 15. I'm not seeing any.
Too late.
I'm not seeing any appointments or reappointments. Number 17, additional public comment. I'm looking in the audience. Everybody's had 3 or 4 cracks, so you won't begrudge me if I'm not calling up for anybody, and there's nobody on the line. There better not be. Don't call in.
Can I make a motion for adjournment then?
I'll accept that.
Second.